This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to a very chilly morning here in the Masai Mara in Kenya. Now, as you can see, we are just starting to get a little bit light. It has been very dark up until now, but the sun is coming up. Now, my name is Lauren, and on camera, I have Big James. Now, I say Big James because he's probably the tallest human I have seen in a long time, and I happen to be the smallest human. So together, we make quite the pair. So, this morning's drive, I've got a lot to tell you already, but please send in your questions and comments using the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter or on the YouTube chat stream. Now, we're just going to keep an eye on this sunrise and see if the colours do start to get a little bit more glorious. But on our way down here, and we are on a mission, which I'll tell you in a moment, we did actually bump into the Olololos on the roads. Now, I don't think I'll ever get used to the feeling of driving and there being a lion on the road. It's a very surreal feeling, and we tried to follow them for a bit, but of course it was pitch black at this point and they did sort of stalk off into the long grass. So we might return there a little bit later and see if we can get eyes on them. Ooh, lions on the road, it's a very eerie feeling. But at the minute, we are on our way to check out a martial eagle kill. Now, many of the pairs of martial eagles around here, 8 of them actually, have been tagged, and they're very well known to researchers. So we are on the way to check out the Mara River female, who is tagged. I'm going to start up the engine, and she made a kill last night. So the way the project works is we actually get the GPS coordinates now whenever a kill has been made, so we can go to the area and actually check it out. It's quite a phenomenal project, and this bird has actually been known for 2 years to the project team. So she's a well-known female, and she actually fledged a chick last year. So we're hoping to see her, and we're hoping to see the kill. So that's where we're heading to. Very exciting. And I will tell you a little bit more about this project later on. But of course, there's others who want to say hello. So let's send you all the way back down to South Africa, where hopefully it's a little warmer.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Safari Live for those joining us. Good morning. We have just come across a herd of ellies, and they have just crossed the road. It's actually what I've been told. It's a female that they know quite often. Generally, this because she had a very obvious broken ear. The cartilage in the top of her ear here has broken, and it's actually flapped over. Now, we have lost sight of her, but she's disappeared off to our right. The light is not that great yet, but right now, as you can see, it's very grey out there, so they're blending in very well. I can just see a bit of movement, but that could be anything. So you just have to take my word for it. As much as they are large, grey, big animals, they disappear like that. Okay. Well, this morning's plan is we are going to head to the Djuma clan, the hyena den. James was on lock with them yesterday, on site with them for the drive, most of the drive yesterday afternoon, if anyone was on live watching that. This is my first introduction to them. I've picked up on few of the names, and I'm very interested in meeting most of them, all of them. It's a very interesting dynamic group of hyenas, and I hope the den's actually still active now. So, let's see what happens. Okay. Now, there is a few of the youngsters around, and there is one young cub that has not been seen yesterday, which we're hoping we're going to find this morning. So, good luck. I'm going to hand you over back to Lauren with the hippo in the Mara.
Closer. Well, we're not getting very far, are we? This is our third hippo this morning coming along this road, and they're just on the middle of the road. So obviously we do have to stop quite a distance away. Both James and I are not eager to get too close to a hippo. And the interesting thing is, obviously in Juma, we see Scuba Steve and Snorkel Sarah, the lovebirds at Buffalo's Hook Dam. And we see many a hippo at Chitwa, but it's quite unusual. It's not impossible, but it's unusual to see them walking around. And what's so fantastic here is you just see the hippos out and about, just walking across the grass. And for being quite a heavy-set animal with not the most gracious appearance, they are actually quite gracious walkers. Look at them go. Dory's asking, is that frog she's hearing? Yes, it is. I will be quiet for a little while and let you hear them. There's a whole array of noise you can hear here now. The frogs were quite prominent and much louder earlier, but now you can hear all sorts of noises around us. It's beautiful. I'm glad you could hear that, Dory. The noise of the Mara in the morning. And the hippo who's just continue to just graze along and probably is making his way to some sort of water hole. Can you hear the birds now wakening up as well? Raffles in the kitchen is asking how... Oh, you can hear the birds, that's fantastic. How fast can hippos run? Actually, they can run a lot faster than you think they can. I believe it's up to 40 kilometers per hour when they really get going. Now, they're obviously not built for speed. If you take a look at that body with very short legs, I'm not going to lie, I'm not envious of the hippopotamus body, but they can actually run very, very fast when they're angry or they need to protect themselves or, of course, they're threatened. So never underestimate a hippo when you think it's not going to be very fast and it can sort of catch up with you, because they actually can. So they obviously can't sustain it for a very long time, and they definitely cannot jump or navigate obstacles. They're not designed for being elegant or any form of ballerina moves. They definitely cannot jump over things or sort of be quick and nimble and get around obstacles, but they can go up to 40 kilometers per hour, which is incredibly fast for an animal of this body shape. Barb is asking, can we hear the birds when we first wake up? Now, we wake up very, very early here, as some of you may know. And no, actually, I don't hear the birds. We start to hear the birds once the sun just slowly begins to peep out and we get a little bit of first light. That is when we start to hear the birds. Now, we hear the frogs. The frogs are incredibly loud. And this morning in camp, there was an elephant nearby trumpeting, and it sounded a bit stressed. So the elephant was very loud, and I think that woke everybody up. And as we were going to sleep last night, there was a hyena whooping nearby. So the camp is filled with a huge array of noise. There's always something to listen to. But as for the birds, it's only as we first start to get light in the morning that we start to hear the birds. Look at this hippo just going about his day. I can't actually tell if it's male or female from here. Paula's saying, wow, we're up before the birds. Yes, Paula, I'm glad you're impressed, because it is very impressive. And I happen to be one of the few, well, actually, Martin just admitted to me that he drinks coffee this morning as well. But I happen to be the main coffee drinker in camp, which is a little bit disappointing. Everyone else is tea drinkers. So I happen to be the only person that needs to survive on coffee, and that's what keeps us going in the morning. But yes, we wake up very early here to try and catch all of these magical moments for you. Oh, Faith has just said that she's a coffee drinker. Fabulous, Faith. Please come back to camp and join me, because I do feel a little bit guilty when I'm the only one drinking coffee. But Martin in tech, he did have a coffee with me this morning, so that made me feel a little bit better. Gremlins General is asking, are we near the river? Actually, yes, we are. It is on our left-hand side in the direction that the hippo is heading. and the other hippos were heading to. So yes, we are very close to the river at the moment, and we are just following a map to get to the GPS coordinates of this kill of the Martial eagle. But we just don't seem to be getting anywhere because we keep bumping into hippos. I love it when you get roadblocks in the form of hippos. I don't think I would ever say that before. But we will continue on because obviously it's getting lighter and lighter, and we really want to see what this Martial eagle actually got up to. And we want to meet her, the Mara River female. So as we continue on our journey and hopefully not get stuck behind too many large animals on the road, let's send you down to the VOV to say good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Djuma in the Sabi Sands, South Africa. And well, we've come out this morning to see if we can find any activity of the Nkuhuma Pride from last night. Good evening, my name is Steve, or good morning, my name is Steve, joined by Senzom Kize on camera. Look at what we found. Well, we have come to the west to see where the Nkuhumas have gotten to. So far, no tracks. But we have found exactly what the Nkuhumas like to look for. And we arrived and the buffalo were lying down. Some of them have jumped up at the approach of our car and they're looking at us very displeased. Last night I did hear something around Gallagher Pan, which I thought was maybe buffalo, but I'm not sure. I haven't checked the pan. But here we have buffalo on site, and well, there's a very good chance if we scratch around a little bit more around the corner. We're just on Sandy Patch approaching Bufusuk boundary. There's a very good chance we might be able to find the Nkuhumas. They will not pass this by. They weren't far from here last night, and if they have been hunting and moving around, there's quite a good chance they might be trying to find and track down this herd of buffalo. First herd of buffalo I've seen on Djuma in ages. Don't forget, everybody, we are interactive. Would love to hear from you. Hashtag SafariLive. Zephyr, I do apologize for interrupting the buffalo's beauty sleep. Some of them do indeed need lots of it. Here we go. Here's a grumpy girl. Look at her. Those of you who haven't spent time with buffaloes before, that's a very good example of a female. You can see she's pretty decent in size. She's got long horns, but on the top of her head is quite furry, and there's no boss. But if Senzo can show you one of the males, you'll see the difference indeed. There is another female. Zediren, you go, indeed, very cute. On the right, here we go. There's a nice family portrait. See how that youngster there? It's only probably from last year, a year old. Buffalo generally drop their youngsters around December, January. So they do generally like to have them in the summer months when there's lots and lots of very nice grazing grass for them to feed on. Exactly, Megan. Buffalo often means lion. There you can see a young male. He's immature. And he's backing into the bushes. You saw how his boss, much bigger than that of the female, hasn't really separated or broken yet, which means he's still a young male coming into his prime, but still a little bit young. That boss will start getting a bit broken up and cracked as he starts competing and fighting, jostling for the right to mate with the females. Isn't this a pretty picture, these two? I love buffalo. I love the smell. It always takes me back to my grandfather's farm and the milk shed he used to have. I used to love that time in my life. Pooja, I think I do owe this one money. I haven't seen her in about 3 months, and she's like, Vovo, you owe me money, dude. She's telling her son or daughter there that that's the one. That one there, he owes me money. That one there. That one, you see him? Yeah? Oh, buffalo. They are very cool. I love finding buffalo. They're always funny to spend time with. That look that they give you. That evil stare. So indeed, we're going to be looking around this herd, see if there's any tracks of the Nkuhumas. It's possible the Nkuhumas would have gone north and then and maybe try follow these guys back, because they were not on the property yesterday. We checked this area. So they probably come from the north, from Buffelshoek, from Manuleti's side. There's some nice big watering holes there. And they've moved on for the green grass. I was just saying yesterday to Craig how we need some buffalo to move in, because there's lots of green grass around for them to feed on. Trish, buffaloes never look happy. This is pretty stock standard looks on their faces. But then what can you do? You know, they're constantly being harassed by flies, constantly being harassed by lions. It just doesn't end for them. And the boys are constantly fighting with each other for the rights to the females. So it's a non-stop battle. There we go. She's finally calmed down and has started to ruminate. See what I mean? Non-stop flies. And, well, I can tell you there is a swarm of flies surrounding us at the moment. That little youngster's decided it's had too much. I'm going to tuck its legs in and lie down. When last did we see buffalo, Senzo? It's been ages, eh? Been ages. They've been waiting for the green grass to come in. And if the buffalo decides to spend a few days on Juma, we might get some really good action with the Nkuhuma pride. Snazzy, I don't think the ears do much fanning. The size of the ears is for them to be able to hear. But they're flicking them because there's constantly flies trying to land on their body. So it's probably a good way of keeping flies away from the face. But unfortunately, when you look at their bottom, they don't really have the best ability to poo without pooing on themselves. So they basically are just a fly magnet. So flies follow buffalo around all over the place. And, well, they are moving organic machines, dropping dung as they go. One of the easiest animals in the world to track is a herd of buffalo. Oh, there we go, doing the phlegm and grimace. That is a prime buffalo bull there. He's gone and tested the urine of one of the females, and now he would like to mate. Lauren, the horns start popping out from a very early age. The first sort of month or two, you'll start noticing just a little bit of an eruption of horn on the head. That one young individual we saw there, that's a year old, so plus minus a year. So they slowly grow, but obviously in the beginning, the youngsters, they need to get their head under mum's belly to be able to suckle. And if they had too big horns in the beginning, that would make it quite difficult, and also, I'd say, uncomfortable for mum to have these horns underneath it. He's trying to investigate the smell there. Now, his friend's going to come up next to him and going to do the same. Okay, there's going to be some jostling happening. Is he not? No, it's just him. Just him having a smell. And those of you who haven't heard of the phlegm and grimace before, many animals have got this organ in the top of their mouth called the organ of Jacobson, which through chemical sort of scenting, they're able to ascertain what and where the reproductive status of an animal is. And by doing that with its mouth, you'll see the second one's going to do the same thing now. Maybe not. Look, when buffaloes sit with a piece of grass hanging out their mouth. Oh, Laura Moore, you want to know what other animals have got downward hanging ears? Oh, I don't know. Off the top of my head, buffalo, cows. That's a good question. All the other animals seem to have sort of quite firm ears. But I suppose they don't have a boss on top of their head, so the buffalo's ears are forced to sort of hang down, aren't they? They can't really, perk on top of their head. There we go, really interested there. Let's see if his friend next to him there, excuse me, decides to also. There we go, both of them doing the phlegm and grimace. Hello, boys. So Taylor and Lauren should be paying attention here. This is the phlegm and grimace from the buffalo. There we go. Flaring their nostrils at us. They can't even get rid of the piece of grass sticking out of his mouth there. Oh, fantastic. Very good. Well, we're going to stick around these buffalo and do some movements around them to see if we can find the Nkuhuma bride. But in the meantime, let's go down to Rusty, who's in the south of Djuma, and I think he might have located the Djuma den.
And there we have it. Oh, we're at the den site. Can you believe it? We came past here the other day and they weren't out. Okay, one of the larger cubs has just disappeared in front of the vehicle. One of the younger ones decided not to follow. So, oh, you have. Some say they're ugly, some say they're gorgeous. I think they're just beautiful. You have to not fall in love with them. I'm sure most of you viewers who have followed this clan over the years have come to know them very well, and I hope to as well in the next few months. Oh, they're just like little children. The curiosity of them. They're so used to the vehicles coming and going now. But yeah, the reason why they're still so curious is because on the right here, we have June. See, we have June lying down here, and she's obviously looking after she's a babysitter for the group at the moment. So that gives the cubs the security to come out and come and investigate the vehicle. Actually, I can't see the other. There's somebody's going to go hassle Mom. It's like, Mom, we got a new chew toy. Can we keep it? Oh, inquisitive. Oh, they're very independent already for such young ones. Rafters. I agree with you. They are very, very unique animals. They are your biggest cleanups of the bush. After the vultures and the jackals, they do the biggest cleaning out of all the animals. After they have finished on a kill, there's not much left, eh? If a lion kills, something spooked them. It wasn't me. But yeah, it's fair enough. Anything that moves or breathes out there that shouldn't be in the area, they have a right to be worried. They are very vulnerable. And as much as the mother will try to protect them, she can only do so much, especially against larger predators such as lions. What? The curiosity. Sniff the air. You almost want to have a little camera underneath the car to see how close they come to sniffing. Yeah, I'm loving this as well. It's amazing to be able to share this with you. So these are June's two young ones. Oh, I hear another sound coming from the den side. It sounded like the really small one. Chloe, we have there are 4 cubs, one we're still missing, but there is a sound coming from inside the den site, which we think might be a Ribbon's small one that we could not find yesterday. We're not going to have 100%, but the sound that was calling might be of one of the young ones. Okay, we're just going to move around and go around the back. This is another hole on the other side of the mound, and see if we can see the little one. I'm not too sure of the sex. We will be back. We're not going too far. Thank you. Kopal, that's a very interesting question too. Are they using the termite mound as a slide? I don't think so. Unless it's very wet, they might accidentally trip and slide down it, but not as a toy factor, no. but everything here, from twigs to branches to bones to pieces of anything, is pretty much used as a toy. So. Okay, we're still creeping around very slowly to see if we can pick up the Ribbon's younger one. As I said, she was not seen yesterday, but that sound was of a very young one. Peanuts, are the hyenas part of the dog family? No, they are part of the canine family, but they've Hyenidae family, so they do branch off of the canine family. So they do actually have a family on their own. You've got the spotted hyenas, which these ones are, spotting or laughing. Obviously the laughing comes from the noise they emit. But then you've got the brown hyenas. They're also, the aardvark comes off them. And the spot, and you get the striped hyenas in the aardwolf, and the striped hyena, which you get in East Africa. Oh, sibling love. Now, there was a very interesting behavior that I don't know if any of the viewers saw it last night, that James had on camera, with this older cub here was suckling off a different mother, off June. Now June's got the two younger ones here, and this one was feeding off June, which is very unusual because, like James said yesterday online, that it's not how a lot of the books are written, that oh no, they do not do that. But now with modern day technology and cameras around, there is evidence coming up of very different behaviors of what we generally know. So, as you can see, we are learning every day about these characters, about each of these animals that we find here. And having to spend this much time with them, you get to know them very well. What's behind, just behind the back leg? It is a little one. Not the baby. Oh, okay. Okay, we are going to head over back to Steve with the buffalo. I'm not going anywhere. I'll be right here for a while.
Thanks, Rusty. Well, I found that very interesting as well when James said that one of Pretty's youngsters were busy suckling from June last night. Very strange, but it probably happens more than we know. Well, the buffalo are finding us extremely interesting. We're surrounded by them. Surrounded by buffalo. Just going to give Texan a quick update on the radio because he's just gotten mobile. Excuse me 1 second. Morning, Tex. Lambinyari on Sandy Patch. Otherwise, no updates for the moment. Yeah, that's affirmative. They're all on the road, not far from the open clearing in the north. Okay, so nice to spend time with buffalo again. It's been ages. And there's one youngster there. Senzo can just quickly try get him. One youngster just in the background there. You'll see the size of the very small one there. Behind that one, there's another one. Just behind that one, there's a small baby. There it is. Now, that was born recently. So, January, that would even look quite fresh. That one's a tiny, tiny one. So, Yvette, you want to know if they breed all year round? There's a peak breeding time. They've got a 9-month gestation period, and there's a peak breeding time where they want to all sort of drop their calves in sort of the summer months, so January, December time. So kind of 9 months before that is when all the breeding happens. But you will get out-of-season births. That's why some of the youngsters will look a little bit smaller than others. But most of them, if you look just to the left of the screen there, sense, just left, there's one on the sort of left bottom, and then a bit more left, there's another one on the floor. There's another one on the right there. You see how all of them are about the same sort of size. There's quite a number of yearling sort of calves around. And the herd is looking in fine condition. Beautiful lady. Hello. You can easily identify the females versus the males with that lack of sort of structure to the top of the horns. Just a bit furry. Blue, we do get cattle egrets here, but we don't really find them in the same sort of numbers as we've seen in the Mara. In other places where I've spent time with buffalo in the Kruger, the cattle egrets are quite prevalent. The oxpeckers are here in abundance. It is still early in the morning, but there's nothing stopping the cattle egrets from following the buffalo here, but we don't see them quite in the same amount of numbers as we do up in the north. Why exactly, I'm not sure. But they are a fly magnet. Can you see them all moving? You see all of those horns. Very, very nice. Very nice. So we haven't gotten through the herd yet. We are surrounded by them at the moment, so we haven't been able to ascertain whether there are any lion tracks anywhere nearby. MGN, there's apparently no such thing as a mock charge in a buffalo. When a buffalo decides it's coming for you, well, that is what's going to happen. It's coming for you. But many times in the past on foot, I've had a buffalo come running towards us, but in a different sort of way than a charge. They're inquisitive. And a buffalo rely quite heavily on their sense of smell. I think their eyesight is important to them, but as soon as they smell something, they do really, really give that way more sort of thought, or way more sort of, what's the word? They react to the smell far better than they do to the visual. So many times on foot, when the wind has been in our favor, I've had herds of buffalo come sort of running towards you, but you notice they've got their heads held high. They're trying to sort of figure out the smell. And as soon as they do figure out the smell, quite often they turn on their heels and run. Sens, you want to get that bull at the back there? Now, he is a really big bull. You see him? There we go. Look at that. Now, that is what we call a big buffalo bull. He's in his prime. You can see how he's been scratching his head against numerous branches. There's lots and lots of bark scratches on there. Now, the boss is well developed and big, and that boss is designed for hammering into other males. A big, big sort of structure on the head for protection, almost like an American football helmet, as you were, and it gives them a lot of power. So a buffalo bull, I've also had a few of them sort of come very acquisitively close to me, but it's mainly due to the fact that they aren't able to smell. But thankfully, I've never been properly charged by a buffalo. But in herds like this, they actually are relatively skittish, because what will happen is they might come towards you, and if one turns and runs away, the whole herd generally does. So you generally have more of a chance of chasing a herd of buffalo away than you will a bull, because buffalo bulls, for the most part, are followed and tracked down by lions. So their strategy is never ever to turn and run until they are far enough away from the threat. So you'll never have buffalo bulls running away from you unless there's a good distance between you. They'll just stand and stare and ask you for that money we've been talking about. But anyway, not only us out this morning, we've got Taylor McCurdy. She's out on foot, and she would like to say good morning.
Can, well, I suppose, head out. My name is Taylor, and on camera with me today is Jandre, and we are on bushwalk, obviously, and Rexon is with us, keeping us nice and safe. Now, this morning, we're trying to pick up on some lion tracks, because the lions were calling all through the night. It was really quite nice. Whether they're still here, I'm not sure, but there was obviously the Pride Lions that was at Gari Main, and then there was at least 2 lionesses just north from camp. We could hear them calling. So I'm going to go ahead and assume that one of those lions is probably Amber Eyes, because we think she's maybe brought the cub somewhere quite close to camp, because we had her tracks coming into Buffalo's Hook, and then we haven't seen them sort of crossing out and going there. So that's going to be our plan. So the first thing we have to do, so there's a fly hovering, is find one lion track. And once you find one lion track, then we can start our search. So it will consist of us pretty much walking and trying to get into an area where we thought the lions were roaring, and kind of start there. Again, it's a little bit early for any insects. It's also a little bit on the dark side. So it's going to sort of stay not great light for about the next hour or so. So it's fine. We'll give the insects some time to warm up and wake up, and then we'll see what they're up to. Who knows? Maybe a breeding herd of elephants, something along those lines. We'll see what sort of comes our way, but I'm quite keen to do some approaches this morning. But it's difficult with the grass being like this tall. Lots of bushes. We might unintentionally do approach too. So that's what we're going to do today. That's pretty much it. Wonderful. Shelley, you sit there and you keep your fingers crossed, but if you keep your fingers crossed, you can't ask questions, so maybe don't keep them crossed, just figuratively. So, yes, remember #SafariLive with all of your questions, and you can also talk to us via the YouTube chat in case you've just joined and you're like, how do I do this thing? How do I talk? Looking, sorry, obviously as you walk, you're always looking for content. Who's here? Oh, there's some crested francolins, but you won't see them. They're now terrified and running right through the back. They were trying to hide away from us. They couldn't hide away from us. So, Rusty is having a whole bunch of fun at the Juma den of Shibamo. Let's go back and see if that little one that was squealing away inside the den has decided to poke its head out.
Well, the kids are out playing again. See, what I was talking about earlier, they find anything interesting to play with. A twig, a branch, a bone. Anything that lies around camp becomes a play toy. Each other, it's all part of training. It's all like, you see, you get some dogs, puppies, that chew on shoes. I'm pretty sure if you leave a slop here, they will chew through it in 5 seconds. I don't think that twig stands a chance. Like all of this, like you see puppies that when they teeth, they need to chew on something. Child of the universe, would hyenas respond to a name or get used to a name like dogs do? I've been with a family that had raised a cub, and although it became very habituated with humans, I would say no, they do not respond to names. You need to have a dog that literally lives in the household day in, day out. Obviously, they get used to human voices, to a particular voice, like probably dogs do. Like, that's why they get habituated to the vehicles and to us talking around here. So I can't say that any of these ones will be able to respond to a name, but one that's been hand-raised might respond to a particular human's voice to whoever raised it. So I've never known anyone to have one long enough to say, yes, that this is June, come June, and I don't think it'll run up to us like that. Looking deep in the bush. Okay. Oh, they are just amazing to watch, man. I'm hoping for the rest of them to come out there. I'm sure when the others appear, it is very cool today, so I'm pretty sure the rest of the clan might actually make an appearance later. But as the morning goes on...
You pull the earpiece out.
As the morning goes on, they might... Ethan, sorry, I didn't quite catch that. I actually pulled my earpiece out. I'm twisting and turning watching the cubs. Sorry, can you repeat that question, please? Yeah, we'll get back to that. I'm guessing it was Ethan. Ethan, how old does a cub have to be? How old does a cub have to be before it leaves the den? Even at this age, they will wander with the parents for a short distance, or when they move den sites. Now, as they get to about 4 or 5 months, they will go with a female walk on their own out to a certain distance and then come back. But when they move to a different den site, they'll have to stay closer to the site to get used to it. But pretty much within a year, year and a half, depending on how they are family orientated, to when they will leave the den site. I haven't actually been around a lot of hyenas over the years. I've seen them on and off on safaris, from horseback, from vehicles, but never actually spent time with them. And I know Jamie, who you all know very well, has been studying them for many years and has come to know them very well. So I think I'll be picking her brain when she joins us on Wednesday and get to know each individual as well as she does. Okay, something I haven't done yet. I want to introduce myself. My name is Rusty. I have just joined SafariLive a few days ago. You have seen me out on drive the last 2 or 3 days. Sorry, I keep pulling my mic out. Okay. If you have any questions, please get hold of us through YouTube, through Instagram, through Twitter. Okay. I will try answer any questions you may have once I plug my mic back in again. So, mic is back in, I am back online. Back live. Okay. We're linking you back to Steve and the buffalo.
God, but yeah, I'm sure they can't resist this. Welcome back. Well, we're not going anywhere. We are enjoying our buffalo, but before it moves in, should we quickly get this insect here that has followed us onto the car? There's a large green wood borer, large green longhorn beetle. I'm trying to keep him on the dashboard. How cool is that? He flew into the car, probably because of the lights this morning. Come on, little guy. And now, these are longhorn beetles, are also known as wood borers, where they lay their eggs inside the bark of trees. We always talk about woodpeckers, and we talk about elephants damaging trees and woodpeckers looking for larvae and grubs. Well, it's wood borers that are inside. So it's the larvae and grubs of these beetles that are inside the wood itself. And that is what the woodpeckers are looking for, to give them all of that habitat space for all the other animals that live in trees. I've never been bitten by one of them before. I hope they don't bite. But he's very active. He's very active this morning. He's a beautiful, beautiful specimen. Very easy to identify those long antennae. And this guy, obviously quite easy to see with that metallic green colour. He's my new pet. There he goes. Oh, the flies are actually unbelievable here this morning, everybody. There are so many flies. So, when you look at wood borers, obviously from a furniture point of view or from a agriculture point of view, if you grow trees, they are a nightmare if you are looking for wood as a commercial enterprise. These insects will cause serious damage to your wood and your trees. What a beautiful coloured insect indeed, raptor. Very, very beautiful. Look at those long, lovely long antennae. He's finally stopped moving, which is awesome. His mouth parts are moving. He's trying to find out what's going on. Hello? He's probably also interested in these buffalo here. Not really. Michelle, why are you scared of bugs? You shouldn't be scared of bugs. They're not out, sorry about my hat there, they're not out to get us, really. This is an insect that obviously causes damage to wood. It's not going to cause any harm to yourselves. And it's quite interesting because they talk about this one being heartwood of a red milkwood. Now, I've never heard of a red milkwood out here. Maybe there's some other trees that they like to get into, but they bore into the sapwood and the heartwood of these trees, which can cause lots and lots of problems. I'm looking in the book, and it does look like the same species, but don't know red milkwood out here. Maybe some other tree species in this area is utilized. Lauren, I thought the same thing. The mouth parts look painful. I thought the same thing when I put him on my hand. I thought, hopefully he doesn't bite. I know that when Luke was here, Luke pulled one of these off of my back one evening. We were sitting by my room and it was on my back and he grabbed it and it bit him on the finger. It looked quite painful, but that's maybe because he grabbed it. I allowed it to basically just walk on my hand, so hopefully that is why I have been saved. Well, the buffalo are all starting to get up. There's a couple of them over here on the left that are completely flat. It's not often you see buffalo lie on their side, like this individual over here. He almost looks like he's dead. If it wasn't for the twitching ears, all the others in the back row, there we go. He's like, no, I can only lie like that for a little bit. Oof, he's a big boy. Look at him. Look at that boss. Yes. What a big boy. Where are you guys going to head? You're coming south into Djuma, it seems. Very good. Gemma, I'm not 100% sure how heavy the horns are, but a big male buffalo can get up to between 800 and 1,000 kilograms, so between 1,600 and 2,000 pounds. And, well, the head itself, I should try weigh it for you later. Taylor brought last year in, she brought a skull of a buffalo that was killed by the Nkuhumas during the drought. I think it was last year or the year before. And they're enormous. I mean, to pick them up on your own is a difficult thing to do. Hey, Sens, how heavy are those horns? Senzo's shaking his head at how heavy they are. I mean, those horns must be 50 kilograms or more, maybe 60 kilograms, possibly even more than that. They are a really big set of horns. And, well, these animals have got enormous necks, and it's quite incredible the power that they have when it comes to flicking something in the air. They can flick a lion that weighs 150 kilograms in the air with little effort at all. Well, anyway, Lauren was in the search for a martial eagle. I believe she's found some bird of prey. Let's go and see if it's the one she was looking for.
Well, I think we have found the Mara River female. We've just arrived, but it's a little bit tricky. She's not given us the best view of herself to us. We're currently looking at her back, and this is unfortunately the closest we can get. So we can't see her legs to see that she's definitely not a brown snake eagle, and we're not able to see that tag that's on her leg, which we were really hoping to give you all a look at. So we're hoping that she might turn around for us. You can see that beak. It sharply points downwards, and you can see that tufts of hair at the back. It looks like she's got bedhead basically, and it looks like she needs to give her hair a little brush with a comb. Now, these are key identification features of the Marshall, but we were just hoping that she could turn around and give us a much better look at herself. So we've came to the exact coordinates that we were given, but we're not able to see any signs of a kill. Now, the kill was made just off the side of the road, and let me explain it to you. So the tags that they have are obviously very specially designed tags that sit on the bird itself, and it will give the GPS locations of the bird, but it also measures all sorts of other dynamics. It can also tell when the bird is perched, because the tag will be vertical, and it can also tell when the bird is flying and swooping in due to the angle of this tag. So the tag is able to report back when the bird is making a kill, which is just incredible to think that an animal like this, we're able to sort of understand exactly when it is going to make a kill, and then we get that data and then we can go and investigate. So they're obviously trying to discover a lot more information about the Marshall eagles here, and if the information is correct, this should be the Mara River female, who is quite a strong individual around here. Will you turn around for us, darling? Most likely not, knowing birds. So if this is her, we will probably stay a little bit longer just to get clear identification. There should be a kill around here. Now, the kill could range from another bird of any sort to even an antelope, to an impala. So if it is a smaller bird, it could be a little bit tricky for us to see from here, as we're not sort of allowed to go off-road here. So we're just using what we've got. And Nancy has said that the bird is camera shy. Yes. Or I believe that all birds go through some sort of training here. If they want to feature on Safari Live, they go through some sort of training where it's just to be as awkward and as difficult on camera as possible. And once they're able to achieve that, then they get their certificate, which means they are allowed to feature on Safari Live. Most birds fly away, as you know, so at least she's not flying away. But we're just not getting that perfect view of her underside, which should be white, or at least paler, with little subtle markings on it. Jim is asking, how big is this eagle? Well, the one that we're looking at, core blimey, it's very, very far away. So I'm not actually sure if I can give you an estimate for this exact eagle here, but I am going to show you in my book exactly what a Marshall should look like. So there you go. We'll get James to give us a view here. It's half in the shade, half in the sun. Do apologise about that. But this one here is what the Marshall eagle should look like. So you can see the tuft of hair up the top, which looks like they sort of haven't combed their hair, and that sharp downward facing beak. Now remember, we're looking at her from behind, which will be completely brown, whereas if she was to turn around, we would get a view of this whitish underside. Now Marshall eagles in general, and it does say so here, go from about 70 to 80 centimetres in height. So I'm not sure if I'm able to convert that right now, but it's definitely maybe about 2.5 feet, I think. And yeah, so they're quite big birds. But of course, this one here, I'm really not sure if I could give an estimation on the size. It does look a little bit smaller than the sizes I've just given. So she maybe is just a little bit of a smaller female. But in general, that's the sizes that they go to. So let's take another look at that bird. I'll put this bird book away and let's see if she's given us a better view of herself. You can see how far away she is. You can see how far we have to zoom in to sort of get a look. Nope, definitely not giving us a better view. But I believe this is the one. And they're trying to just collect data here on the Marshall eagle pairs. They're often found in pairs, male and female pairs, and they're just trying to gather a lot more information on the sort of lifestyle of these birds and try to get to the kills as they're made, when we get notification that they're made, to see exactly what the kills are. Now, it's very common for the bird to still be found. This kill was made last night, but it's very common for the bird to still be found around here, which looks like she actually is. Jessica was asking a question, but I didn't quite catch it. So if you could just repeat that, Faith. So yeah, it's very common for the bird to still be in the area where the kill was made, keeping an eye on it. So I firmly believe this is the Mara River female. So, I'm not sure how long we can stay with you, beautiful bird. She's maybe got her kill hidden well into the grass or at the bottom of this tree, which, can we actually just have a look at the bottom of the tree, James? Or it could even be completely out of our eye range, so it's within hers. As you know, they have an incredible eyesight. No, there's nothing down there. What did you get up to last night, lady? Anyway, it's fantastic to find her. It was a fantastic system to get these coordinates and come down here and actually have a look at what's going on. And it's unfortunate that we're not able to quite find the kill. I am going to stand up on the bonnet once you leave us. It will not be a pleasant view if I do that now. And I will bring out my binos and have one last look. But I do believe this is her, and she's keeping an eye on whatever kill she made last night. So before I stand on the bonnet, I do not want to do that in front of you all. We will send you back down to Rusty to see what he's up to.
Oh, we've been watching them for quite a bit now, and they are keeping us very entertained. I actually can't stop smiling. June and the two youngsters have just disappeared around the corner. Nope, they're coming back. They've just been running up and down here. it's one, I suppose, when you're tucked in the den most of the day, it's like, yes, freedom, get out. But it's very, very entertaining. She is a brilliant mother. Very patient. Very patient. Oh, yes, that's what older siblings are. I wouldn't say older sibling, but it is part of the family. Oh, look at that picture. The bone that they were playing with earlier, I am not sure what type of animal that's from. It could be from another different species. It's not often that you find that the adults bring food back, but if they do, it'll just be pieces of bone like that where they just chew on. But no, I can't tell you which bone that is. It's just another chew toy right now. When I woke up this morning, when I went to make coffee, I realized that one of the dustbins was missing. And there was a very obvious hyena tracks going past my bedroom door. And I found out that they have managed to drag... we found the dustbin around the corner. But like it was empty. It gets emptied every evening. But obviously the smell of the dustbin is unresistible to hyenas. They are very curious animals, and of course, when the lights go out at camp, it gets very quiet. So they sneak in. And it's one of the reasons, or there's a couple of reasons why you don't leave shoes outside. And this is one of them. Obviously, being so used to human environments, I'm sure the one that wandered in last night decided he sniffed out the coolest thing that he could find. There was no shoes outside, or if there were, they were gone. Heather, that's an interesting question. Does the matriarch choose when to move the den site? It's not so much of choice, it's a matter of when to move the den site. Now, with such a big litter of, such a big clan building up here, such a big family, the family's growing very quickly, it's the smell, it's the parasite collection that builds up in the den that determines when to move. Now, with this many youngsters, I'm pretty sure this den has been active, what I've just been guessed at, is about 6 weeks now. Some of the viewers may know exactly when they move back into the area. And I'm pretty sure in the next few weeks they will need to move. Just sitting here, you can actually smell a very distinct stench, which is fine. To hyenas, I think that's their natural cologne. But for attraction to predators to this area, it might be a big problem. So the den site will be moved if the parasites obviously get built up, because that obviously leads to mange and other problems. Oh, sorry, my head keeps appearing in the camera. I'm a little bit tall. The older one plays a bit rough sometimes. Now June's watching. She won't let anything happen to him. We're linking over to Taylor, who's concentrating on the smaller little creatures.
We've managed to find, it's been very quiet out on Bushwalk, but we've got a rather large fly. Now, I'm not sure what type of diptera this is, because there are thousands upon thousands upon thousands of types of flies in Africa, and anyways, just in the world. But it is enormous, because there is a spider just below it, and it is puny in comparison to that fly. Now, I don't think that spider would go for something so big. I also don't know if its web's going to be able to hold such a big fly. It's a delicate little spider, and it's normally catching a little bit more sort of prey species, the size of like a little midge at the moment. I've seen termites in their webs. What they're doing up there, I have no idea. But that's definitely not going to be on the menu of the spider. But that fly is just resting at the moment. Can you say that a fly's perch? Do flies perch? Just catching up. I'd love to know what it feasts upon. If it goes for sort of more carrion, does it feed on decaying vegetation? But now, look, it just rubs its legs together, just doing a bit of a clean. So even though, we consider flies to be quite dirty, I think they practice self-care fairly regularly. Look at that, giving its eyes a good clean. It's got to keep all those lenses clean at all so that it can avoid being squashed by people. Tim, now I know we always complain about flies, especially here on SafariLive. We're constantly talking about how annoying they are. We try and swap them with worry branches. I do the old clap. I think Steph does that really well. Steph does it so well that every time he brings his hands up like this, it's almost certain death to the fly. So how flies benefit the ecosystem is, firstly, they're a great food source for a lot of different animals out here. Even though I don't enjoy eating flies. Occasionally and unintentionally we do, actually more so than often. Well, don't enjoy them, though. It's normally followed with me gagging off the side of the car, desperately trying to find a water bottle so that I can, I suppose, swallow the fly a lot easier. And the maggots are very important too. Now, yesterday, if you're watching SafariLive, we were talking about meiosis and how some flies will actually target animals, live animals. Normally, it's dead animals, and lay their eggs inside, say, a rotting carcass. Without those maggots, if we didn't have any hyenas, so if we were in an area, a city for example, where there are not a lot of scavengers left, there are no hyenas, there may be not a lot of birds of prey, there's no jackals or foxes or whatever scavengers, there's none of those creatures there, maybe the odd dog and cat, the maggots will take care of that. The maggots, once they've hatched from their eggs, the larvae will completely devour whatever the adults have laid their eggs on. So they're very important. So they also, I suppose, decomposes. So don't write flies off, because if without them, especially in the cities, we'd probably be in a bit of trouble. There'd be a lot of rotting things around. And yeah, so they are important, I suppose. This one there's some really pretty flies out there at the moment. I quite like the bee flies. I think Trishala had one the other day. I'm so sorry, I missed that because I was talking, Faith. Sometimes I listen to my own voice and... Do flies sleep? Snazzy, I don't know if flies sleep. I think they rest, but I don't know if they, if they sort of go completely unconscious and just go fast asleep. I don't actually know. I don't know if they need to. I mean, we see insects sort of resting, just sort of being, stationary, but it's normally on the colder days. But I don't know. What do you think, Chandra? Do you think flies sleep? Not for very long. I don't know. I think you're at a bit of risk. I mean, obviously we know that flies are typically diurnal, so they hang around during the day. And at night time, normally if you say you've got a pride of lions and they've been feasting on a buffalo carcass, you'll see all the flies will leave the carcass during the day, or just as the sun's about to drop, and then perch themselves on nearby trees. Maybe they sleep at night. Who knows? Anyways, off you go back across to Rusty, who's down in that direction. He's still at the den, and I wonder if June is not impressed with those little ones.
What's that? Turn.
Right.
Okay. June's doing a little walk around at the moment. She's just disappearing into the green area there. We're hoping she's going to come back. But obviously it's a natural reaction for the cubs to retreat to the den as soon as the mother or the nanny looking after it moves off. So they're just sitting at the entrance of the den, as you can see there. So they're just seeing if she's going to come back. If she doesn't come back, then obviously the protection of the den is where they're going to be for the rest of the day. I'm maybe a little bit selfish and hoping for June to come back so they can keep playing around. But yeah, safety first. Her little tail looks like it's been dipped in paint. Oh, they're good. Bumblebee. Why do the hyenas make that low grumble, that low noise? It's all communication. If you, the communication patterns with our hyenas is, it's phenomenal actually. They have got a variety of different calls. A low growl, rumble could mean a number of different things. Depends what kind of mood they're in. Depends what they're playing, how old they are, where they are in the hierarchy system. Now, if you go through the calls of our hyenas, just get a playlist of all our hyenas. It's coming back. I don't see June, so these youngsters I think are just coming up because their older siblings out and about. And I think also we are a form of protection here. So yeah, if you go through the cause of fajinas, you'll find each one could mean something completely different. Obviously you get the territorial calls or the contact calling. You hear out the, oh, something spooked them, a dove, a bird landing. Well, no, stay out, come back. Yeah, it's too early to go to bed. Heather, does a low-ranking female move her cubs to a different den to stop the bullying or in case something happens to cubs? It can happen, yes. They do move their cubs, especially the younger females. Obviously, there's the dominant female, but sometimes we'll not fully understand nature or try a bit of factor for everything, but it does happen. Whether she comes back later is up to her. Whether she comes back when the cubs are still quite young and she brings them back, well, sorry, that dove was just collecting nest material. And if she does come back with the youngsters, obviously she has to accept them. So it can be a very complicated scenario like that. With an adult, with a matriarch female, it's indecisive about whether she will accept the cubs or not. But generally, if that adult female, the younger female, has moved off and had cubs and come back, depends how long she's been gone for. If she's only been gone a few weeks and the cubs are still very young and there's already cubs about the same age, then they'll integrate quite easily. But if the cubs are quite a big age different part, it's quite hard for them to integrate. So it's not a yes or no question. It's just a matter of how the clan is run and how family orientated they are. Okay, it's gone very quiet here. We're hoping for June to come back. We're going to link over to Steve for an update.
Thanks, Rusty. Awesome that you managed to see the Juma Den. I know you were there yesterday, but nice for you to be talking about the antics that are going on there. So we've done a big loop around. Texan went to follow up on the Unkuhumas. They crossed towards Sydney's Dam last night into Bulvershoek after the show, and he's on their tracks at the moment trying to find out where they've gone, but it looks like they might have gone up towards Manyeleti. So we've just done a big loop around because you'd think that all those buffalo and the smells they're letting off would be an irresistible sort of thing to bring them in. Maybe it doesn't seem like the buffalo came from the north. I think they came from Simbimbili's side. It did a bit of a loop and came back again. So I didn't mention it before, but Senzo was looking so proud. He is a Zulu after all. He was looking over the buffalo and he was just very, because, you know, in Zulu culture and many African cultures, cattle are a sense of wealth. So he was just looking over his herd, thinking himself a very wealthy man this morning. It was very cute, in fact. Very cute. He wants to buy some land so he can have some more cattle. You've got some cattle though, eh? Yes. How many? You've only got 2. See, Senzo's only got 2. He's not that rich yet, but one day he'll have many. Hey, Sense? Because many traditions in Africa and in Zulus especially, they give cattle for wives. So if you want a wife, you need to give a certain amount of cattle. And what's a good price for a wife these days, Senzo?
15 cows.
15 cows is a good price. And don't they also throw in taxis as well now?
Yeah.
Some people will throw in a taxi. These minibus vans, which are sort of the commercial transport around Johannesburg and the like, little 18 or 12-seater sort of vans. Now people, because obviously it's not always that easy if you live in suburban areas to have cattle, but you can have taxis. So it's a number of cows or number of taxis for that individual. So the bride price can be quite high, can be quite low. It all depends obviously on family and background and things like that. But anyway, I always find it very interesting. It's a form of wealth, sort of the Bantu speaking cultures that came down from sort of Kenya area down to South Africa 400 or 500 years ago, and they brought with them their cattle, and they changed the agricultural sorts of scene down here quite substantially. Before that, it was mainly sort of the sand bushmen. There wasn't really any sort of pastoralists around, although there were some Khoisan that used to have some cattle. They obviously landed themselves in all sorts of trouble when they started stealing the cattle from the Bantus that came down, who were quite warring sort of tribes. They had managed to fashion iron and spears, and they were fighting against Khoisan or Bushmen who just had little sort of sharpened arrowheads and things like that. They weren't really warring factions, but they didn't really understand the ownership of anything. So obviously lots and lots of things happened to them as the conflicts between them and the new locals happened. And obviously shortly afterwards, Karen, do you like this information? Well, we can talk all day. And shortly afterwards is when the first sort of Portuguese settlers landed in the Cape. Didn't stay for very long. And then Jan van Riebeck, the Dutch settler. And then obviously that's when all of the sort of issues, or sort of show the confrontation started happening with the Europeans and then locals as well. So very, very interesting history in South Africa. And Senzo is still very proud there at the back with his 2 cars. But he was looking at that buffalo herd going, I would be very wealthy, if this was me. And well, talking about buffalo, I'm going to be making a little bit of something because it is medicinal today. So I've brought some milk with me to add to a medicinal plant for a little bit later when I find it. And I wonder if you can figure out what it is I'm going to be doing with the milk. But anyway, until then, let's go up to the Masai Mara with Lauren. Not sure what she's up to, but no doubt she's excited to be out this morning.
And of course, Lauren has her favourite animals. She can't really avoid them these days, as you know. So we do, in fact, have a hyena in front of us. Now, funnily enough, as you know, we are in the area where the Marshall Eagle kill was. And of course, we come across a hyena. There's absolutely no surprises there, is there? I wonder if the hyena is picking up on the scent of some sort of kill. As you know, hyenas can smell for miles and miles and miles. So there is a possibility that it has been drawn in this area. Or it could just be a coincidence that hyena happens to be here, as they are all around. So we did leave the area where the eagle was. I saw some people asking, I think it was James, is the male and female both tagged? And yes, they are. They are both tagged, and obviously that's how we knew it was the female that we were going to see this morning. So we are going to introduce all 8 pairs to you slowly. This morning was just the first sort of practice run, if you like, at trying to get to the coordinates to find a kill. Now, maybe if we were allowed to sort of off-road a bit, we could have actually came across the kill, but sadly we weren't. So slowly but surely, we're going to introduce you to all the Marshall Eagles, and I just think it's such a fantastic project that we can be involved in, and maybe one day we will get the coordinates of a kill and we will come across something rather exciting. So Mr. or Mrs., I can't see from here, hyena is just having a sniff of everything. I'm going to move forward now because it's going to disappear from our view. So obviously, it's no longer night time. Morning is here, the sun is up. And she's obviously venturing out, trying to find some scraps. Stacey's asking, do the Marshall Eagles have names? And yes, they do. They obviously have a code as part of the tagging system, but they do have names as a pair. So there's 8 different names, and the female belonged to the Mara River pair. So there's the Mara River female and the Mara River male. Where on earth did you just disappear to? Am I going crazy, James? How did that hyena manage to evade us so quickly? Ah, see, there you go. This is why you have a cameraman. Okay. I didn't know how that disappeared. So yes, we are going to introduce all of them to you with their names and a little bit of history of them. And this project just genuinely excites us, so we can get to know the Marshall Eagles just a little bit more. So as we continue on, we are actually going to head... Oh, there you go. You pop out now, huh? We are actually going to head to the Mara River itself and see what's going on there. But for now, let's send you across to the bushwalk with Taylor.
Look at what we have found. We've found an enormous caterpillar. It is so cool. It is crazy. Is this the face? John Day, you actually have to come and look at it from the top. This face is hilarious. So it's really big. I'll show you now in comparison to the size of my hand how big it is. To be a snake, I think. Look how big it is, but I'm going to move out of your way. But look at the face. It is so funny. Can you see it? Chandra is too tall. I can't see what you're looking at. But it does not look impressive. Those are its little legs that you can see. I think that's what you're looking at. I'm guessing. I'm playing a game of... Well, that's what we normally do on bushwalk. Just by the way, we don't have monitors like we do in the vehicles. So when we're on bushwalk, it's kind of hard to sort of see. I'm just going to creep around. I want to look. So I don't know what this is going to turn into. What I can tell you, though, is it's not going to turn into one of the small butterflies or anything like that, or even a joker. I reckon it's going to be something like a swallowtail.
Well, we have some escargot, some very fresh one. This is a giant land snail. I actually don't want to get too close because it ducks away like that. He's actually watching me very closely, he or she, I'm not too sure. They're not the fastest creatures on the planet, but they are very fascinating. Not going anywhere very quickly. See that? You can see the little eyeballs at the tips of the long, and it's very extended eyes. Obviously, they need to see everything that happens around them. They are very vulnerable, and everything eats them. Lucky no hyenas pass by anytime soon, because this would have been a delicacy. It is in some parts of the country, in the world. I'm not the biggest fan. And yes, giant land snails are edible to humans as well. I've never tried it. That feels like too much of a snail's piece of steak. It's too much. But you can see there's actually a bit of a trail drag behind him. It's actually, I don't know why they actually do it, because it's actually bad for other animals that are looking for food. It's actually leaving quite an obvious trail for it to follow. But it's just moving very slowly. Obviously, if I do get closer, it tucks into that shell. Now, they do get to probably about double that size. And I'm sure a few viewers have been around the last few years and you've been on the walks, you find the shells lying around. And they're quite large and they're white, obviously, when they die. But we've had a very bad 4 or 5 years of drought. And I found quite a lot of shells lying around the area. And you'll find, as they grow, the colours, they've got very vibrant colours here. As they get bigger, they get more paler. But in the dry season, they bury themselves. They tuck away in the thick foliage if they can find any, or a very damp, moist area, especially in like warthog holes. Hyena dens are not active. They go find a very cool spot to stay for the winter. In summer, and when the rains come, they start moving around. It's a very long process. They can grow very quickly depending on the food source. But actually, to be honest, I don't know how quickly the growth cycle can be. But, yeah. Coast cider. Is the shell hard? Yes, it is hard. If you've been anywhere along the seashore, you'll find shells there. If you tap them, they are exactly the same material. Obviously, these are inland snails. If you put salt anywhere near this one, it has like a fizzing effect and it actually will hurt it or kill it. So these are the giant land snails that live inland. But the shell content is exactly the same as what you'll find on the seashore. Oh, that's a tongue twister. But it's making its way very slowly. Very slowly. Imagine life going like that. I'm actually like that until I've had coffee this morning. Although I did have a bit of a, not a complaint, but a query of why I was up so early this morning. Starting the cars. Okay, we'll leave it be. I was actually waiting for it to get off the road so I can actually drive over it. Or drive past it, sorry, not over it. So it's just moving at the speed of nothing right now. Okay, we'll leave it be. Okay. Just an update. We've just left the hyena den. She's left the den side, so of course the cubs went and hid back in the hole. So we are going to drive around and pick up any other beauties that are out there. I'm so happy we got to see the hyenas. I really do want to go back. I might even go back after drive and go sit with them for a bit longer, see if anything comes back. Okay, we will be making a pass on the way back to see if they do come out. But let's see. And yeah, okay, we're going to link over to Lauren and mongooses in the Mara. Give it to my hand.
Yay, we finally found them. We actually had these guys earlier for you, but they disappeared as usual into a termite mound. But literally, since we've been waiting, we have had maybe 20 banded mongoose run past us. Now, they just ran and ran and ran. Who knows where they're headed or what they're up to, but we're so glad that we've managed to capture some for you. Now, this is my first time seeing a banded mongoose. Obviously, we have the dwarf and the slender, which are quite common in Djuma, but the banded not so much. So I'm not sure if you're able to tell from this angle, but they are much bigger, much heavier set than the dwarf and the slender. They're much bigger mongoose, and they sort of average in at about 1.5 kilograms each, which is of course well over 3 pounds. So they do come together in packs, actually very cohesive packs, which can be between 6 to 40 individuals. So we saw about 20 here, if not more, actually. Maybe 25 just ran past us. So this will be, oh, there we go. We've got more of them. It looks like they're feeding. You see this one digging, and they're digging for insects. They love beetles, and they actually really enjoy a good millipede or two. So they feed primarily on invertebrates. But yes, this could all be all the mongoose from one pack. They're very cohesive. The pack is very important to the mongoose. Hi guys. Isn't that adorable? Now they're on very high alert. Yeah, they're on very high alert looking around. We've actually had some warthogs just skip off past us as well. And all the animals seem a little bit nervous this morning. So you can actually we've had some fantastic sightings with the dwarf mongoose down in Djuma. And even when I lived there, we were able to get quite close to the slender. But the banded mongoose out here seem very, very nervous. They're not comfortable. And every time we drive past, they run for the hills. So that's why we've turned our engine off, and we've actually just stayed here for a few minutes to help them relax. Now, they are carnivores. Small but little ferocious carnivores. And we actually just saw their closest relative in the order Carnivora, which is, of course, the hyena. Hyenas and mongoose are actually very closely related. Would you believe it? Oh, these guys are just so cute. Now, you can see the bands on the body, so I don't need to go into too much detail where the name banded mongoose does come from. They've got quite a distinctive pattern, and they've definitely got much body weight, much more body weight to them than the mongoose we have down in South Africa. They're very different. Oh, this is so lovely for me in the morning. Look at them digging away. Jenna's saying that looks like my company's morning management meeting, I think. Well, actually, I'm jealous of you. That sounds like a fantastic meeting. All just standing there looking around, having a little dig. I'm actually quite jealous. Our morning meeting does not look like that. Not quite far off, but no, this looks like a lot more fun. So they do rely on each other for alerts, which is why they will stay closely together. Yes, Dan is saying they look like meerkats, don't they? Just. They look very, very, very similar to meerkats, especially when they stand up on their hind legs like that. That, of course, is very, very... Well, it's a feature that's most attributed to meerkats. When you see an animal do that, you would think of a meerkat and not exactly a mongoose. Oh, this is just lovely. You know, we're always searching for the big animals. Sometimes we forget to sort of hone in on all the small animals. And it is obviously breakfast time, and they are furiously digging away here. They've obviously found an area where they can dig away for all the insects below. Nathan is asking, are they territorial? And in some regards, yes, they are. Because they live in sort of permanent and very cohesive packs, so I imagine this is a pack we're looking at here, they will have offspring in them as well as adults, as well as an alpha pair. And it's a very structured sort of way of living. And they are territorial within the sort of den that they live in. So normally they choose a termite mound, and it has to be a sort of big enough and comfortable enough termite mound for all of them to live together, and they will be territorial of that area. But it is quite common for mongoose to jump between termites to termite mound if they're feeling under threat or if something has happened. So it is common for the packs to relocate, but they will be territorial of the area that they live in, if that makes any sense. And not only have they got to worry about the predators on the ground, they've got to worry about the predators in the sky. A martial eagle would definitely go for something like a banded mongoose. So you've got those who will look up for aerial alerts, and then you've got those that will scan the ground for the sort of threats that are on the ground. And they will communicate. They do have separate calls for different threats. So when you're looking at these little guys here, you might hear a call which we probably wouldn't be able to sort of identify, but the others would know what kind of threat is approaching. Are they being alarmed for the fact that there's a raptor above? Or are they being alarmed that there's some sort of ground predator approaching, or even a sort of snake? So their communication within packs is very well structured as well. It's not just an alarm call, a general alarm call, shall we say. It's quite a specific call which does warn the other mongoose where to look. Isn't that incredible? Rob is asking, was Timon in The Lion King a meerkat or a mongoose? Oh, it's been such a long time since I've watched that film, but I do believe he was a meerkat. If anyone else has any sort of different answer to that, please do let me know. But I do believe Timon was a meerkat and Pumbaa was, of course, a warthog. Oh, the good old Lion King. Hakuna Matata. It is one of my favourite Disney movies, but of course, unfortunately, it isn't so biologically accurate, which is where we don't always refer to it. Faith is laughing at the fact that I said Hakuna Matata. Linda's asking, are the banded mongoose endangered? I don't believe they are. I probably should check on that, but I really don't believe they are. They're quite common around here, living in their little packs, and I don't believe they're listed by the IUCN database as endangered. I will check on that for you, Linda, as sometimes when you actually go onto the red list, the IUCN red list, you are actually surprised at what some of the animals are listed as, but I don't believe banded mongoose are. So, are we able to get any closer, James, or is that as close as we can get? This is as close. We are a little bit far away, and I don't want to turn the engine off because that's when they just scatter. But I do believe one of the mongoose might have had a very, very small baby on its back. I can't see any of these ones, so it must have been one of the ones that has scuttled away. I think someone has managed to catch that. How cute! They do have a lot of maternal care. Anna Marie's asking, do the banded mongoose have the same diet as the dwarf mongoose? Well, they're all carnivores. They're all in the order Carnivora. And they mainly all feed on insects. So fundamentally, yes, but obviously they are in different areas of the world, so they may have different preferences to different insects. But however, yes, they are all insectivores, and I do believe dwarf mongoose love a good millipede as well. So it's definitely not something that I would enjoy for breakfast, but they primarily feed on insects. Oh, this has been such a delightful moment. I'm still trying to look if I can see one with the baby on the back. Can you see any other ones around, James? There was a lot of them. Yeah, we've got some more over here. Yep, we've got all the wonderful ladies in FC having a look for the mother with the baby. Can't see it, but someone has spotted it, so what a great spot. Unfortunately, I missed it. But yes, the pack is very structured in that way. They will all look after the offspring. They will all take care, they will all make sure they take care of the offspring, and it's sort of like a joint effort to continue. They will all be related within the pack, so innately it's sort of a drive that if they all invest in looking after the offspring, they are all helping their sort of genetic lineage survive. So they're all invested into the pack, and that is exactly the reason why. So we might actually stay with these mongoose just a little bit longer to see if we can get a glimpse of the baby, and if we do, you will be right back with us. But for now, let's go across to Steve, who is still searching.
Thanks, Lauren. Good luck with them. Well, we have found tracks of at least 2 leopards. Look like female leopards. Just coming down from Bolcher's Nest to the drainage here. I'm just trying to figure out whether they've come up onto Twin Dams Road or whether they've continued down into the Milwati there. Looks like they might have continued down. So most likely Tandi and Tlalamba, you would assume. 2 tracks, 2 leopards. Okay, here we go. The tracks are still coming up here on the road. Big hole in the road over here, excuse me. Sometimes it's quite tricky to follow these cats on certain areas of the ground, but some places it's quite nice. In fact, but where are they? Be nice to see the 2 of them together, won't it? Mother and daughter. Just trying to figure out where they might have gone. We will still be doing medicinal segments later on, folks, towards the end of the show. Wonder if anyone's managed to cop on to what I might be doing with milk. Senzo's excited. He's going to drink some today, Senz, eh? Especially when he finds out what it's for. Okay, well, Taylor's just given me an update that there are wild dogs on Chitwa Airstrip. How interesting is that? So maybe we'll go there in a few moments. I just want to get an idea of where these tracks have gotten to. So if you start something, it's always nice to finish it off, don't you think, Senz? Or should we go to see the wild dogs? Decisions this morning, everybody. Decisions. So I've just got to figure out where these tracks have gotten to before we make any more decision. In checking ones before disappearing somewhere else, because I think we need to find what... Oh, I just got myself in the face with that branch. I hit a branch and had mud on it. This area here is quite difficult for tracking, I must say. The ground is very, very hard. Very hard. So you got to look for sort of more sandier, open patches. You know, it's not normally... There we go. It's not normally that common for leopards to walk too far. For Tandi, that I've noticed, to walk too far on these open roads. Normally walking through drainage like there is quite useful for her. Tingana. Okay, there we go. Tracks are still headed south here. Tingana will walk along this road all the way north and south. He's got no qualms. But I haven't really noticed that Tlalamba walking too much on the road. I think she's constantly sleeking in and out of the thickets towards the side, as she's always trying to ambush something. Okay, well, these tracks are headed south towards Twin Dams. I know that... Oh, I nearly just drove in some of her poo. In case you weren't sure. So, there we go. There is some relatively fresh... Sorry about my head. Leopard scat, I think. Yes, indeed. And while it is still in the road heading south, everyone's being very sensitive towards me, saying don't fall out of the road, like Tristan, out of the vehicle, like Tristan did. I will hold on very, very strongly. The problem is Tristan hit a tree, or what was it? He hit a stump or a hole in the ground. That was funny. That was very funny. If none of you saw that incident, you really need to go back and watch Tristan falling out. I'm sure you can just Google it. Tristan falls out of vehicle. It's a very well watched YouTube video these days. Tristan will be back on Wednesday. Tomorrow he'll be back, so we can laugh at him then. We can laugh at him now. It's one of those things that happens. Okay, so these tracks are still heading directly south towards Twin Dams. That scat isn't that fresh with regards to like 20 minutes or half an hour. It was sometime in the night. These tracks are headed south. But we're going to try and see if we can figure this out, and if we can't find them in the next 5 to 10 minutes, maybe we'll go see if we can follow up on those wild dogs to the south. But in the meantime, seems like my good friend Paulie is out, and he would like to say good morning.
Good morning again. Let me switch off and have a nice introduction. My name is Ollie. Joining me behind the camera is Uncle James. James. We've swapped seats with Rusty, so we're going to be lucky with the wild dogs today. I hope Steve will find them. So my plan for today is to do a follow-up, is to make a follow-up of the leopard area. Yesterday we were disturbed by elephants. So there's a bird calling. Oh, nice one. Oh, there's a nice bird calling there. Yes. This is a beautiful bird you can find in this place. Always call during the day. This one is called a white-browed scrub robin.
That's the baby.
And this one has different coloration because it's still young. And you can still hear the calls, just learning the calls. It's so nice to hear such sounds in the morning. Linda, yes, this is beautiful, and yes, indeed, wow. You can simply listen to these calls the whole morning. David, can I make this sound? Let me try it. Oh, it's difficult. There are few sounds that I can't really make. It takes an energy for me to make these calls. I'll try it. Anna Marie is saying the white-brown scrub robin is James' favorite. Is that true, James? Yes, I love these small little birds because they have these beautiful, tricky calls. So I'm looking for tracks and signs. Maybe I will have luck, or maybe this cat didn't go out, or maybe still in the block. So while I'm still searching, hopefully I'll see the leopard. Let's go to Lauren with the hippos.
Every time I come down to this river, animals are fighting. There's something about this river. These hippos have been going at it for the past 5 minutes. I'm just gonna let you listen. You can really hear them. Okay, they're not being so noisy now, but from what we can gather, the one on the right seems to be the one with the issue. Seems to be the one that is not letting the other one back down. Now they keep running towards each other with their This is incredible. Two highly aggressive and powerful animals. I don't know what the issue is here, but they have got something that they need to resolve. Now the one on the right actually looks smaller to me, but yet seems to be the more aggressive one. Now I imagine these are two young bulls that are sort of having some sort of dispute. Possibly over a female, or just possibly being two young bulls. You can see the other one's trying to get away. It's been trying to get away for quite some time now. Vern is someone asking something about his mouth, and yes, the one on the right is... Let's see if we can have a look at the one on the right, James. It looks like it's sort of foaming at the mouth with lots of excess saliva coming out from what I can see. Can we go closer, James? Okay, this is as close as we can get, but it does look like there's some sort of foamy excess saliva there. It's not a happy chappy at all. But there is something strange going on with the mouth there. I can see it. Daniel from Scotland. Hi, Daniel. From Scotland. I've never seen hippos interact like this either. I normally see them in the water when they're having their disputes, but that other one's coming back for more. I wonder what's happened. As we arrived here, they were fighting. So we have no context to what is going on in the hippo world here. But the one on the left seems much more subdued and much more readily avoiding any sort of conflict. Yeah, this one here. But the one on the right won't give up. If we can just have a look at the one on the right, James, it's coming back in the water. Or it's trying to, at least. What are you guys fighting about? Oh, the politics in the hippo world. Now, it won't have been over food. Hippos forage at night time, they graze at night time. So the issue here won't be over food. So my sort of best guess is just a dispute between young males who are trying to be a bit territorial and trying to be a bit, I'm bigger than you, I'm better than you. But that's only a guess. I can still see the white stuff all over this hippo's mouth. Let's put its mouth in the water now, that's better. Now the sun is getting hotter, it's getting much warmer now, thank goodness. And this is when the hippos do really have to be in the water. It looks like he's calmed down now. It looks like we caught the worst of the fight. think he's having a little bit of a drink. And the other hippo has, of course, disappeared out of our line of sight. Is it still there? Oh, there we go. There are other hippos who look just like the rocks. He could be sick. I think Sharon was asking, is he rabid? I'm not entirely sure. It's possible for hippos to contract rabies. However, he could be sick. It was very strange. I'm actually going to go back and look over this footage and try and see if we can have a look at what exactly it was coming out of his mouth. He was dribbling a lot of saliva as well. Now, dribbling saliva is actually a technique that a mother hippo will do to a baby hippo if it's a little bit dehydrated. So it is common for hippos to dribble saliva. It's not unknown, but in this case, I'm really not sure what exactly was happening. Now, someone, I need the name repeated, but someone is asking what else is in the water. So let's give a little view of the river that we have in front of us. Little is asking what else is in the water. So we have a lot of hippos. We actually call this a bloat of hippos. Now these hippos are actually behaving themselves, semi-behaving themselves. And there is crocodiles in here. I cannot see any at the minute, but we do have a lot of crocodiles in here. And this is the exact same location that we saw the crocodile fight last week. If anybody didn't catch that, do go and check it out because it was really something to watch. Now, for those of you who did see the crocodile clip, many of you noticed the Mara River is really, really shallow, almost empty. Now, it's definitely marginally fuller. Now, not completely fuller. Of course, it's got a long way to go, but as you know, we have been hit by heavy rains in the afternoon of each day, and I can see the difference between last week when I came here to now. The river is just that little bit fuller, and as the rains keep coming, the river is going to reach and it's probably going to flood over the sides of each embankment. So I do like coming down here just to check what's going on. This is the second time I've been here and the second time I've witnessed a fight, obviously between two different animals, first one being a crocodile and this one being hippos. Now, we are staring into the sun when we look this way, but generally the crocodiles are found up here. Actually, a new viewer is asking, can you help a hippo if it's getting sick? I think that was the question. I'm just going to wait for Faith to confirm in case I've got that completely wrong, which is, of course, a possibility. But I think that was the question. Yes, that was the question. Our role out here as SafariLive is merely to observe. Now, as difficult as it does sound, our sort of main motto is just to observe. Observe what we see. Do not interfere in any way whatsoever. It's not our role or our duty to get involved with the animals. I'm just going to bend down so that James can get a better view of what's going on over here at the other hippos. So yes, we will not interfere in any way. If the hippo is sick, I'm afraid that is nature. And nature can be really cruel sometimes. Now, in the Mara, there are different organisations that may get involved with different scenarios, and that is normally when it's been a human-related injury. If an animal is really badly injured due to human activities, that is normally when certain organisations will step in, but we do not. So maybe that hippo was not sick. I'm not entirely sure. Well, have we got more tussling going on? Hippos, what have you eaten this morning? You must have had some funny beans. And in general, hippos are really aggressive and highly territorial. They love to fight. They're just terrible at it. They're not good fighters. So you will often see young bulls messing around, and then you will often see territorial males being highly aggressive towards the others. The male likes to be in his own space with his own females, not too close to other males. So I don't think anything is going to happen here. I just think it is some males just being a bit, you know, I'm better than you. Now, if you just saw the wafting coming from that hippo in the centre there, that is another thing that hippos do. They actually defecate and they waft their tail at the same time to sort of spread their poop, if you like, far and wide in the water. So it's a very, very common thing to see in a hippo. It does it when it's actually trying to attract a female as well, would you believe it? I'm not sure if a man wafted his feces at me, I would be lured in. I think I would need a little bit more than that, but that is indeed one of the ways that hippos do try to attract a female. Faith is laughing. Or maybe, you never know. You never know. When I'm waiting for that perfect, handsome man, if he does do that, you never know. If it was Aquaman, I might be tempted. Faith is laughing, so I have absolutely no idea what she's saying, because all I can hear is her giggling. She's probably imagined Aquaman wafting his feces at me. Okay, I'll stop now. Now, it does look like the hippo fight has ended. And we are going to send you back down to South Africa, where Steve is probably going to talk about something a lot more sensible.
Thanks, Lauren. Yes, very interesting discussion and topic. Animals, wild animals. It is a very, very sad story sometimes about the reaction to some conservation bodies towards injured animals. And sadly, sometimes all it is it's a cost incurred. But we've got a bird in shot here. I'm on tracks of Thandi and Tlalamba still. We've lost him in the drainage here, so we're going to see if we can find them as we come around. But just spotted a bird here that I thought I would see if all the viewers are awake this morning. Hashtag SafariLive if you can tell me what bird that is. And, well, it's not going to be easy because there's something about it that makes it a bit tricky, especially when Senzo dims the lens like that again. Sense, you want to make it a bit brighter for everybody? Shame. There we go. That's much better. We're listening to a squirrel alarm calling just up ahead here. We're going to follow up on that. But hashtag SafariLive, if you know what bird this is, please tell me. Give you a clue. They live in holes in trees. Trick question. Let us know if you know what it is. We're going to continue on, though, in the meantime. See if we can maybe follow up on the squirrel that's alarm calling here. See if we can maybe find any fresh signs of Thandi and Tlalamba. Let me know what you think that bird is. Quickly send through your answers. Kelly, you don't know the name of it, but you love it. Well, very good. Very good. Well, it's kind of linked a little bit to the stories of this morning. So that's a bit of a clue. A little bit of a clue, I suppose. Okay, so we're now on our fire break right on the southern side. The hyena den is back that way. The tracks came into the block over here of Thandi and I'm not sure. Coast Side, you've given two answers there, a woodpecker or a starling. It is neither of them, although it is quite similarly related to a starling. It's sort of in the same sort of grouping. But you just went with a hole in the tree. It's not going to be easy, though. I know some of you are going to get it, but there's a little bit of a trick to it. Shinzele, it's not a cuckoo. No, not a cuckoo. This one actually has parents that care about it. Care about it very much indeed. And very much indeed. Oh, wow. I walk in the rain. You have given a fantastic answer. I would have accepted just half of that. You have said it's a juvenile, and you said it's a red-billed oxpecker. Now, I couldn't tell you if it was a red or a yellow in that shot, but it was definitely an oxpecker and a juvenile. Everybody, the beak was dark, wasn't it? Very similar to starlings, and the reason why I like to show it was because you spoke about the longhorn beetles creating cavities in trees, or eating trees, then fed upon by woodpeckers. And oxpeckers are one of the birds that will actually nest in holes in the tree. And the connective tissue towards all of that is we had many oxpeckers enjoying a feast on the buffalo earlier. So there we go. There's a little bit of trivia for the morning. I'm glad all of you suddenly woke up there. Got to make sure you're all on your toes. But we're just looping around this block, seeing if we can find any tracks of Thandi Ortlalamba coming out. It is quite tricky because there's about 400 hyena tracks going up and down, but we're going to pop out a twin. We did bump into discussed, and him and James and Rusty are racing off to go and get involved with the wild dog sighting there for you. So it looks like they're going to be focusing on hyenas and wild dogs today, and no doubt we'll be able to explain the differences. Any of you new viewers out there that might not know the differences, Paulie will be there shortly, we hope, to give you some information. I can hear some hoopoes here that likes living in cavities. I'm just going to move up a little bit and we're going to get them. They were doing some allomimetic behavior. I hope we don't lose signal here. Allomimetic behavior. There they are. Oh, don't fly away, guys. Here they are, Sens. You got them? So also cavity nesters, although they are cooperative breeders. The red beak, and they fly from tree to tree, and they call allomimetic behavior. It's almost like a whole bunch of football fans moving from one pub to the next, calling out their team's anthem, supporting each other versus the other teams. It's kind of, if you think about that, that's what the birds are doing. It's their territory. The allomimetic behavior is bringing them closer together, singing their war cry. And obviously the more of them there are, the stronger they appear to be and the better territory they can hold against other families of green wood hoopoes. And we had a normal hoopoo framed up a little while ago, which we sadly weren't able to keep in shot for long enough. But they are specialized feeders, the hoopoes, wood hoopoes, with their long probing beak, able to access beetle larvae and the like inside the bark. So they are also able to feed on longhorn beetle type larvae that hasn't gotten too deep inside of the wood. Dan, you want to know how we can identify birds from such a distance? Well, it does take a lot of practice, Dan, but a pair of binoculars is ideal. But in the early stages, always try and just pick up your binoculars, have a look at the bird, see how it's flying there. Okay, cool, it's black, it's got white wingtip, got a long tail, and the beak seems to be quite long. If you do all of that while you look at it, you'll easily be able to find many of the characteristics of that bird. You also saw that there was a group of them. That's one of the characteristic features of wood hoopoes, and you'll easily be able to identify the difference between this one and the common scimitar. Ideally, out here, there are three birds, if they flew across the screen, that would look similar to that. One is the scimitar, which has got a dark beak. It's also very similar in shape. The long tail, the black body, but they are normally on their own. And then you also get the long-tailed shrike, which doesn't have the same beak structure. So those are the three you might get confused, but looking closely at the beak and all of its characteristics will help you. But anyway, let's quickly go down to Chitwa with Paulie and his wild dogs.
Yes, we have found them. Steve said we must quickly go and look for these wild dogs because he found the tracks of leopards. So that's why we are here on the eastern side in another reserve which is called Chito. And so they are relaxed. We are so lucky that I think this is the whole pack. Yeah, I'm so happy. Beautiful. So I'm communicating with my camo, so where to get a nice view. This is amazing. Yes, they're here. This is an Investec pack. Let me count them. How many? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. You can see 13. And these youngsters, they're confusing now because they have grown. And I was lucky to follow these wild dogs since these youngsters were about a few months old, around last year, October, when I started with SafariLive. This is indeed beautiful. Maybe just take a few moments to just keep quiet and feel the sighting. We're not alone in the sighting. We have 2 cubs at least. Let me use my binoculars. Yes, from FC, this is beautiful indeed. Oh, this is amazing. I don't even have words to say. These beautiful, colorful, big ears, dogs. Yes, Christine, indeed, they are so cute. And even if they are still and they're not doing anything, but I just love the sighting. And I can see this one with a wound on its front left shoulder. Yes, Uncle James there. James has to bear with me. I'm not used to calling him with his name. It means that wound it doesn't bother this young chap here because you can see it's fit. And remember, even if one gets sick in this pack, it's great that they will take care of each other. Yes, it is the breakaway from the Investec pack. Yeah, I think so because this is the pack that I saw first time I came into this place, but these youngsters were still small. And I have few screenshots in my phone from James Richard about this particular pack. So let's go to Taylor. She has some big mammals on foot.
Sorry, everybody, I'm tangled. I'm trying to untangle myself right now. So we've just had a very exciting experience, but sadly we can't show you. We had buffaloes on foot. We've been here for quite a while. Breeding herd, the ones that Steve had earlier this morning, just in the distance, and then it was cool. And then the next minute, out of nowhere, a buffalo bull who was behind the herd. And I thought I'd heard something when we were a little bit up further on the road. And I stopped and I looked and I listened and I couldn't see anything. But it's so green. And the next minute, this bull comes charging out. He must have only been about 50 meters away from us. So we just stood back into the quarry. And we were basically between him and the breeding herd. So he wasn't really interested in us. He was kind of panicked and like, how do I get to my friends? You're there. Lots of snorting, but like more of a, I don't know which way to run kind of thing. He wasn't particularly aggressive with us. So we kind of just stood in the corner. He knew where we were. And then he eventually went back to the breeding herd. The buffaloes have now moved away since. We had another view of them, but it's very far away. Now that the buffalo herd know we're here, they're not particularly impressed by our presence, we're not going after them. So that is the end of that sighting. But it was quite cool though. You know how I feel about buffalo, so my heart was racing. Because the last sighting, no, do you know what? The last sighting I had of buffalo on foot in South Africa, one tried to kill me. That was fun. And then when I was in Zambia, Tristan and Ali were with us. We were on a walk and walking on this beautiful 4,000 hectare island. It was so nice. The next minute as well, out of a little drainage line, 2 buffalo bulls running straight towards that. So now we're like, oh, this is fun. So we start backing up. There's another little drainage line in front of us. We get behind a termite mound by a tree, and then luckily they get to this little drainage line and they turn and they ran the other way. So that was exciting. That was a whole lot of fun. I don't like buffalo. I don't enjoy them at all. They terrify me. But I think it's just because bad experiences and kind of need to get over them. But anyways, don't be scared. Don't let me scare you about buffalo, but be careful of them because they don't take anyone's nonsense. So now we're just walking. We don't really have anything. It looks like the buffalo are maybe wallowing here in the mud and the sand. See, it's all churned up. Or perhaps they stopped there for a bit of a drink. I wouldn't want to drink from that water. It's quite gross. So we shall keep going. It's hard to describe what would have happened if the buffalo charged me, because I don't know how they would have charged me. Would it have been one? Would it have been a whole lot of them? So it's a bit difficult to kind of say. A breeding herd wouldn't really worry about the 3 of us. We were so far away. Our worry was the buffalo bull that was on his own. That's what our attention turned. We actually completely ignored the breeding herd because they weren't going to come running in. Unless that buffalo bull started distress calling, they're sort of just going to watch him for a distance and go, he's a big boy, he can handle himself, kind of thing. But again, there was enough room, no animal was enclosed, so the chances of a charge, happening, very, very slim. Again, that buffalo had ample space from us and behind him, so he could move away. It's not like his only escape route was where we were. It was 360 degrees of freedom, basically. So yeah, so you just found the clearest part, and it's very loud when a buffalo runs. That's actually what I heard, was a, and I was like, oh, hey guys, so there's this buffalo. Yeah, Shelly, we don't always run down here, but buffalo can go anywhere. There's no, animals go wherever. So there's lots of places we run. Where I've run, there's been leopards, there's been lions, there's been buffalo. There's been every animal you can think of has kind of been there. So yeah. So that's just one of those things. And I'll tell you a little bit more about the caterpillar that we saw earlier. Sorry that we just disappeared like that. We had no signal, but I'll try find another one. We found 2 on that tree, so we'll keep looking for similar trees and see if they are there. Or if you go back to Collie, who's got the dogs on Chitway Strip.
They'll be hunting. What an amazing sighting there, Taylor. I've never been with big mammals on foot like a buffalo since I was here, but hopefully I'll have one. I'm with my special sighting here, which is the wild dogs. I don't think they will do much from now. Maybe they will be sleeping or just moving from one place to another. As they look full. They've eaten. There was this one that was standing, but I think it's lying down now. It has blood stains on its neck. So when we were off air, we were trying by all means to differentiate the adults and the youngsters. It's so difficult. And I went through this page James Richard did, or James Richard is compiling, I can say, with this particular pack. It's tricky, and then you have to spend a lot of... Oh, they're looking at something. We have zebras there on top, Uncle James. That's why they're standing up. You have a family of zebras there. So but you know, they won't go for zebras. I've seen videos of zebras standing their grounds when chased by wild dogs. See, it would, yes. They really have beautiful markings, and these markings are so unique. No one looks like another one, if I can put it that way. They all look unique. These paintings. That's why it will be easier for us in future to differentiate between these individuals. Thank you, James Richard. I've been with leopards, I've been with elephants, lions, a lot of beautiful animal sighting, but this one, it's always my best and my favorite. In the Mara, I didn't have time to chill with them, but here, I'm good. So for now, maybe a warthog or impala or some small antelope will pass by, and then it will show us some action. For now, let's go to Lauren in the Mara.
Yes, I still am at the river because every time we turn, we see something interesting. And somebody was actually asking what animals we get here. Well, let's take a look. Right in front of us, we have what looks like a monitor lizard. A very large one that has not moved a single muscle since we spotted it, obviously basking in the sun as reptiles do. And if you just take a look in the background there, we have another reptile who is also basking in the sun. It's getting very warm now. I have removed my scarf and my jacket. So this is prime time for reptiles to bask and gain all their energy from the sort of surrounding environment, predominantly the sun. So we have three. We have two big crocs there. One much larger than the other. One looks like a juvenile. A lizard. And if we just take a little... Yeah, look at that croc. He's big. Doesn't that look so comfortable? Just lying next to the river, basking in the sun. Although I doubt you'll get much peace with all these noisy hippos around. And I was going to show you a very beautiful stork, but I cannot see it. Oh, there we go. Nope. Has it gone away, James? Very possibly. Ah, okay. Now you can just see it, not very well, I'm afraid. You can see its bottom, but it is actually, in fact, a yellow-billed stork. There we go. Look at that beautiful, beautiful bird. Very similar to the saddle-billed that we see, but not as tall, nowhere near as big. And it's obviously mainly white with this huge yellow bill, and it's actually feeding. It's looking among the rocks and in the very shallow parts of the water for some food. So there's a huge array of animals here around the river. Raikal Anne is asking, is the water unusually low at the moment? I don't believe so. This time of year is the time of year around March when the rains do start. And of course, once the heavy, heavy rains start, that is when the river starts to fill up a little bit more. So I'll actually ask James. He probably knows more about the river than I do. What do you think, James? Do you think it's unusually low?
Yes, when it's bigger ones.
There you go. So it will start to fill up. And of course, once it gets full, we will eventually be leading into migration time, where all the sort of antics of the Mara River happening. So this is my first year at the Mara River, and March is definitely delivering rains. Let me tell you, every afternoon is a joy. It's glorious sunshine right now, but by afternoon I imagine we will get heavy rains again. And this will cause the river to increase slowly but surely. So I hope James managed to answer your question better than I did. MGM is asking about, is the monitor lizards a big enemy of the crocodile? Now, I think from what you can see here with the two of them sort of, there we go, that's a better view, side by side almost, if you like, you can sort of guess that no, they're not. Now, myself and James were actually just talking about the relationship between hippos and crocs. So we'll start with this one too. But for any sort of big predator, it makes, well, you've got to think of the advantage that predator has for going into battle with an enemy. So for example, a hippo and a croc, they're inhabiting the same space, they're in the same river. Why are we not seeing more fights? Why are we not seeing more incidences where hippos attack crocs, crocs attack hippos? Now, it has been seen, because they're not the same species, but it's very rare. It's not something that we see often because it's not worth it. They inhabit the same space, but they're not direct competitors, and they will risk injury. Both the croc and the hippo will risk injury to themselves if they were to engage in a fight. And this would be a similar situation for the lizard and the croc, especially these two, which are almost of similar size-ish. That crocodile's a very young one, so it's definitely not a big adult like the one in the background. And it just wouldn't be worth it for them both to attack one another, especially for the lizard itself. I think the lizard would definitely lose in this instant. So when you think about reptiles, I already mentioned that they're ectothermic, which means they get their energy from the sun. So they're not necessarily like us, where we're warm-blooded. It comes from within. So for them to engage in any sort of energetically expensive activity or go fighting with every animal that they come across, they would waste a lot of energy that they need to reserve for their critical habits as sort of feeding and keeping their territory strong within the river. So in answer to your question, no, they're not enemies. They probably don't like each other very much, as I'm sure many animals here don't like one another. But as for the word enemies, I don't believe so. It's important for an animal to maintain its health. If it risks too much injury from fights, then it won't be able to survive. Oh, Rom is asking me a very difficult question. What is my favourite reptile? Oh, I love reptiles. I think they are just incredible. I'm a complete reptile girl, and I have actually been called a reptile myself because of the amount of time I lie in the sun, but we won't talk about that. I did actually have a bearded dragon many years ago called Floyd, named after a boxer. My brother named it. And the bearded dragon was just the most wonderful thing. However, I am really, really in admiration of crocodiles. I think they are just wonderful reptiles, the way they survive, the way they have sort of evolved their niche within the water, but they can survive on land as well. They're just such powerful yet prehistoric looking animals. I really love crocodiles, hence why we'll always come in and check in at the river every so often. So Romit, that was a very difficult question. I do love snakes, I do love lizards, I love all sorts of reptiles, and of course the sea turtle. The sea turtle is what I probably specialise in the most out of all the animals out there, and yes, I adore the turtles. And in case anybody's waiting for me to say it, yes, the tortoises too. I haven't said that word in a while, so I'm sure that will make some of you laugh. So we are going to move on a little bit, just further down the river and see what we can see, but there are some doggies waiting for your attention in South Africa.
So we are still here. Luckily, there's no vehicle that is on standby. We are safe because we were supposed to leave the sighting if there was a vehicle waiting for the sighting. As I've said, it's really difficult to tell. And there's kissing going on there. You know, we have to keep their bond tight at all times. And look at their ears. This is one of the favorite part I love with these dogs. The ears, rounded ears like foxes. I can say like they're round like a fox ear. Not a Like what? Like, no, not a fox, a hyena. Not a fox, a hyena, but they're bigger than... These are much bigger than hyenas, but they're round in shape. I love their ears. And the fluffy part inside there. They're in an open because of the weather. That's why they're sleeping here. This is an airstrip. You can see from down here to there, up there, an airstrip. So I'm feeling a little bit safe here. You know, safety in numbers, looking in different directions. So I hope they will just stand up and jog or walk or play or have fun. But for now, let's go to Taylor with the bushwalk team.
Okay, so how long is the trip going to be?
3 days.
No, the trip here. Hi, everybody. Hey? Oh, no, I'm not. So, how long is it going to take you to get to Durban? There's Craig, everybody! 2 days. Yes! I'm so excited. We've been trying to do that for days. That's sorry, everyone. I was pretending I wasn't live because if you've been watching, we've been trying to put Craig on camera with his new haircut. And then he said, you guys are live. So he drove past and I'm like, no, we're not. We're not live. Like the whole time, Jean-Ray, not framing. We're hilarious. Yes. Was it a good view as well? Screen. Share them with family. That is the elusive Craig, aka Batman. So I'm just looking. So obviously earlier, I apologize. Let me get the device out. We were looking at a caterpillar of sorts. I mean, it could be two things. Maybe a swallowtail, maybe a moth, emperor moth or something like that. I don't know. It's really big though, so I can't imagine it being really anything else. Look how cute! Is that not the most precious thing you've ever seen in your life? Look at those little suction caps. It was so precious. But sadly, we didn't have any signal. And then we found another one. Now, I'm not sure what their host plant is, but it didn't look like a large fruited bush willow. Do you know what plant I think it was on? Was on a wild medlar. Anyways, what else we got? We've got pictures. I took a selfie with it. Look. I was so excited. I took a selfie with the... Oh... Did I turn it? Look how pretty. No. Okay, my phone is not working so well. Anyways, it was really pretty. It had beautiful purple on it. The little spikes on its body were fantastic. They were hard. I couldn't resist. I did have to touch it a little bit because I needed to feel what it feels like. So all those little white bumps made it rough in sort of texture. And then the tiny little bits were very, very sharp. It was really cool. So I'm not sure which one it is. It's one of the two, probably a moth or something like that, because if we think of a lunar moth, if we think, Jean-Ray keeps talking about an elephant moth, which he's made up, and he's got in his mind that there's a thing called an elephant moth, and they rumble like elephants too. But anyways, if you're gullible enough to believe him, go and Google elephant moth. But yeah, I'm just trying to think with the last time that I saw a lunar moth larvae, it kind of looked like that as well, big, green, juicy. They're like the juiciest grubs. I feel like those are all the grubs in the Lion King that Timon and Pumbaa used to eat. Treaty Kid, I didn't try and taste it though, but yes, it did resemble a type of gummy candy. It was so cool. I really want to take one home just to raise it as my own. Jean-Ray is saying, no, that's weird. I don't think so. It's so cool. I thought it was really nice, and they were so chilled. I think I must find the video. I shall post it on Twitter later, but there's one where I've pulled the branch back just to get a better view, and I move the camera, and as I move the camera, it turns and looks. My heart melted. It was so precious. Okay. It was really cute. Sorry, I don't normally go, ooh and ah, but for a caterpillar like that, I don't know. I mean, that could be cuter than a little lion cub, just saying. So, maybe not a lion cub, cuter than a little leopard cub. I like lions too much. So yeah, that was quite nice. Let's see if we can't find more of them. There must be. I need to go back there. I think I want to go back there this afternoon in the vehicle because I think we'll have signal in Wendy. No. Oh, and then also the raisins. The raisin plants are fabulous at the moment. They've got all the big fruit on it. It's not ripe, but I found a secret one in camp, which I won't tell anyone where it is. And I plan to eat every fruit on that tree. Ooh. So, James Richard, thank you very much. You said it's a speckled emerald moth. That's pretty cool. I mean, emperor, not emerald. Emperor moth. I don't know why I said emerald. And you can eat them. So what? Like mapani worms. I'm cool. I'm gonna give it a skip there. Thank you. I've eaten mapani worms done 10 different ways. They are horrific. I really don't like them. So then I wonder though if that emperor moth also feeds on the mapani tree. I'm sure I've seen that species actually feeding on mapani leaves as well. I'm could be mistaken though, but I remember seeing a few years back. Actually, maybe as a kid growing up, I just have this. I just had like this sort of flashback of big juicy caterpillars, and not the mapani caterpillars. Obviously, they're black with red. Hey, they stand out quite a bit. They're easy to identify. Oh, it doesn't look like we're going to find any more. This is a large-fruited bush willow, though. This is not the plant that we were looking at. So I'm just checking though to see if there are any other caterpillars, because it looks like there's been things eating on the tree, but it could also be from ants and other critters too. Okay, well, we'll keep searching, we'll keep checking up here on quarantine. If we go back to Xoli, who's still got the wild dogs, I think he's happy because he's been in the sighting, I think, a lot longer than he thought.
Thank you, Taylor, with your caterpillar. These wild dogs, I don't know whether this pack, but one within this pack was once seen eating a millipede, and I'm sure they will love to eat a caterpillar. So they haven't done anything, just sleep, because you can see they are panting because they have to digest the meat. That's why they are breathing so heavily. And check the ears are like twitching a little bit because they're the viewers are wondering whether I've counted them. Yeah. In the meantime, I've seen. I can see 12. Let me count again. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yes, 13. And this is so confusing. It's so sad. You can think it's easy to differentiate between the young ones, the old ones, but it is not. I've sneaked much closer, but I still find it difficult to differentiate between the age different. See this one, it's up. Oh, sorry about that. I was still listening to this guy who's trying to relocate and get a nice spot. And I just wonder why are we like 2 cars with just us here? Because this is a special sighting, but no one comes in and everyone is living. I think we're going to be alone here. It seems like that. I'm sure they've been with these guys since early morning, or maybe they saw them hunting. And because there's this one that's shaking there. Thank you, James. Panda Express, how much does this animals feed and drink water? Their success rate of hunting, I'm not sure about it, but this pack can devour an impala. Let's say, for instance, an adult impala, male impala. They can eat it like in one go for like in less than 1 hour, 30 minutes. That's maximum, because these are one of the animals that can eat very quick. And in terms of drinking water, they are not far from a dam which is called Cheeto Dam. But I think after this nap, they will really need some water, because if you are full or very full, after taking a nap, you'll need to drink water. And I'm sure they are avoiding water now, because when you are full, once you drink water, you'll be worse. You'll be tired, and you won't be able to sleep nicely. These guys are taking a nap. This is a huge nap, I can say. But for now, let's go to Lauren with a small little thing.
A small reptile indeed. It's a baby croc. Would you look at that? Isn't that adorable? It's such a cutie patootie. I'm not sure everyone will agree, but I think that is just really, really cute. It's like a very mini version of the adult, and it doesn't quite look as ferocious as the adults do. There's something very lovely about a juvenile small crocodile. Now, Mike, I did get asked the question, I'm not sure if it was Michael himself, about monitor lizards being the enemy of the croc. And I guess I read the question of the two adults as we were looking at them, and they are very, very rarely to fight. That's the sort of tangent I went down, but Michael kindly reminded me, and he is right. Of course, monitor lizards do eat the croc eggs. Now, the eggs, yes, they will eat as many croc eggs as they can, and they're actually very good at it. So it's quite a common fact that you know about monitor lizards, but the two adults themselves will rarely battle. That was where I was going with that one, but thank you, Michael, for reminding me that. And the actual survival rate of a hatchling crocodile, well, this is another juvenile one, much older, but definitely not fully grown. Oh, crocs are everywhere. So if we could just go back to that baby one, James. So the survival rate is actually 1 in 50 from a hatchling to adulthood. Now, that's quite a low survival rate. It's definitely nowhere near as low as sea turtles. Now, the survival rate of a sea turtle from hatchling, which is just out the egg, to adulthood is 1 or 2 out of 1,000. So that's very, very low, and it's actually the lowest of the entire animal kingdom. But crocodiles being 1 in 50 is also a very low survival rate. And, of course, monitor lizards contribute to that by eating the eggs. So this little croc here is nothing short of a miracle. Is one of the few that has survived. It's got a lot of growth in it left to do. Normally, in general, crocs are sort of, when they're hatched, they're around 30 centimetres, which is about 12 inches. Mia's given me a challenge. Okay, it's a little bit over 30 centimetres. I'm just getting into the right position. I've been avoiding the sun. The sun is coming from this side. So Mia's asking, using my hands, could I show you how big it is? So I just mentioned the hatchlings come out the egg at about 30 centimetres, which is about 12 inches. So this one's just a little bit bigger than that. So I would say this size. Does that help, Mia? I hope so. It's still very small, and most of the length is made up from the tail, not the body. The tail is much longer than the body itself. So this one is a very, very young one, just quite recently hatched, and it's absolutely adorable. Now, the most fascinating thing I find about crocs is the way that the sex of the hatchling is determined. Now, of course, in humans, there's an XX chromosome and an XY chromosome. I'm sure I don't need to tell you more than that. But with both turtles and crocs, it's actually purely dependent on temperature. So, with turtles, I always remember hot chicks, cool dudes. I'm sure we mentioned this to many people on Dive Live. And the hotter the temperature of the egg, you will get females. The cooler the temperature of the egg, you will get males. Now, crocodiles are the complete opposite. So I guess for crocodiles, you could say hot dudes, cool chicks. Doesn't really have the same rhyme to it, doesn't it? So crocodiles are the opposite of turtles. So the warmer the eggs, you will get males, and the colder the eggs, you will get females. So you can actually manipulate that as well. So if you were to take the eggs, which is not advisable, and we would never do, then of course you could manipulate the situation, play with the temperature, and you would produce a different sex ratio within the clutch. So crocs are just awesome, full stop. So while I stop myself from ranting on about crocodiles forever, we are going to send you back down to the Volve.
Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome indeed to the Bush Kitchen and to, once again, a traditional Tuesdays, which is an offshoot of Medicinal Mondays, the only difference being that it is Tuesday. For some of you, it is still Monday somewhere out in the world. But here we are set up. Normally, I like to do this on the bushwalk, but we've come to the bush braai side. Nice flat table. I can actually stand for a change, and we can do this the right way. So, I said something about milk this morning, did I not? I've got a nice big cup of milk over here, flowing on from the buffalo theme. Senzo loves his milk, he loves his cows, and well, we decided to do something with milk this morning. Now, the plant you can see in front of me over here is the large-leafed devil thorn, or the large-fruited devil thorn. And isn't that a very pretty flower over there? Okay, so what we're going to do, I've got some hot water boiling over here, and we're going to be making a very nice leaf infusion. So I've got the hot water ready. I'm going to take that off of the boil now before my gas runs out. And what I'm going to be doing is, see, I've got some leaves here. There's 1, 2, 3 sets of leaves because I'm going to be doing 3 different things with the leaves of this plant. The roots also work quite nicely, but it's not really easy to get that many roots. The roots come out about that deep in the ground, so I didn't harvest any roots. But what we're going to do is I'm going to put my pot on here, and I'm going to add my milk, and we're going to boil some leaves with milk. How interesting does that sound? Yes? There we go. In it goes. Let's give it a little bit of a mixture for good measure. It's the first time I'm making this, so Senzo is agreed he's willing to taste it as well. Now, the objective of this is these leaves are actually going to thicken the milk, make it into almost a yogurty-like. It's already a nice smell coming out of there. But while we let that just boil a little bit, let me turn my gas up. Very good. Put the lid on. We don't want to burn it. We don't want to burn milk. Milk is not something you want to burn. And what we can do while we're letting that burn, should I say, while let it cook, I'm going to take the rest of the leaves. I've got some water over here in this jug. And the reason for this is I'm going to take a whole lot of these leaves and I'm going to immerse them in there. And ideally, you could immerse them in overnight or for a period of time. We don't have overnight, so we're going to do it for now. Just put it in there, let it soak. You can put the whole plant in, but essentially it's the leaf component that's going in there, and it gets quite sticky and globular, but we'll get back to that once that is sort of settled a little bit. And then thirdly, we are going to reveal and make a little bit of a tea. And once we have obviously got all of this set up, we'll allow it all to cook a little bit, and then we'll come back for the big reveal of some tasting and ideally showing you what these things are used for. So with my next one, I'm going to put, am I going to do it in there? I'm running out of pots, you see, so I'm going to put it in here. Very nice sort of insulated camping mug, which you can put hot water in, which is very good. So I'm just going to pour. Infusion, everybody, is basically just a tea. It's hot water mixed with leaves. So you'll notice that I've got milk boiling here. I've got hot water with leaves, and I've also got just cold water there, doing a couple of different things. Okay, gets quite nice and viscous as we stir it up there. But the large devil's thorn, I hope I haven't said buffalo thorn before. It is the devil's thorn, easily identified by this wonderful little thorn over here. They are creepers that grow along the ground, and the leaves are actually quite edible, but you have to cook them. They've got a very... The smell is coming. I'll let you all know about the smell. Whoa, that was nearly an epic fail. Senzo, did you see that? Okay, so the devil's thorn. Let me just keep stirring this. It's like a rich, creamy milk smell coming off there. It smells nothing like buffalo milk, though. Not that I know what buffalo milk tastes like, buffalo mozzarella. But these sort of seeds get stuck in the hooves of animals, in the paws of feet, in the shoes of people, and then they get distributed from here to another place. And it is a plant that is a perennial, but also acts as an annual, which means it grows hugely over a period of time. It actually covers the ground in a very nice network, and then it produces these seeds, and then these seeds will survive until next year. And whenever these land, water will go on top of them, and they'll germinate, and a whole new plant will be formed. So very, very pretty plant. Quite painful to stand on that, though. But the flowers also pollinated possibly by insects, butterflies or beetles, something that's able to go into that sort of long tubular sort of plant. Very, very nice. Chris, I don't swear enough to be related to Gordon Ramsay. He swears a lot. I'm very PC on the camera. But anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to allow this all to settle a little bit, allow this all to sort of do its thing. And I'm sure Faith will send you over to someone in a moment. And then by the time you come back, we're going to have our milk, our tea, everything nice and prepared for us. And then I'm going to explain to you at length exactly what we can do with this plant. It's getting nice and creamy. Hopefully when you come back, it's going to be quite thick like yogurt, which is the objective. But I don't want to burn it, because ideally you don't want to ever burn milk. Okay, well, while we allow this to get nice and creamy, you can actually almost see it there, Senzo. Oh, getting nice and creamy. Let's go back over to Holly, who is still with the wild dogs.
Steve is making some infusions, but he didn't wanted to try to eat a marula fruit from an elephant poo. Oh, they've had something. We were still trying to figure out what happened here earlier on. We thought that these guys were hunting an impala. We don't know whether it was an impala or maybe another antelope. But what happened was, we thought if it, let's say it killed a male impala which can weigh about 60 to 70 kilograms. It simply means if you divide that number with every individual here, 13, and it will give you roughly 4 to 5 kilograms of meat. And it simply means they even get a lot from that impala. They probably will be hunting this afternoon, or they might hunt now after this nap, because the weather is great for them. And we have a lot of impalas up there with the zebras there. Sorry about my head. Yes, we have impalas and zebras there. So some just listening for surroundings. Some are dead asleep. And then there's this one that's looking at the head there on top. This one over there is looking at this head. Mm-hmm. That one with his head up. Yes, it is normal for these wild dogs to be so sleepy, because, you know, after hunting, feeding, then they have to relax to digest the food that they've eaten, and then to think about the next hunting ground. So it's like Usain Bolt. You know, Usain Bolt, former athlete, was the fastest runner on this planet. After a 100-meter run, he was supposed to take a nap because the muscles get stiff and sometimes it gets tired. So even these guys really need to have a break. They're not giving us anything except their sleep. So maybe I don't think there will be action right now because they are flat. So hopefully we'll come back with an action or we'll leave the sighting. But for now, let's go to Taylor. He has a smaller thing for you.
We are on a mission to find all the different types of caterpillars today, and we found another one that was eating, but it has now stopped. It was feeding on an acacia, and as we were watching it, it was blowing like this big bubble of liquid, which was quite cool. I don't know why it was doing that. I don't know if it was a defense mechanism or if it was just sort of excess from feeding on the juicy stem. Because there will be a lot of liquid that comes out of the stem, more so than the leaves. And then look at Elsa found. You don't understand how I've almost had to eat these like 10 times. I've been holding on to them. Remember, we briefly looked at a sandpaper raisin, a grevia, but I actually don't know. Did I show them? No, I think I was just talking about it. Sorry, there's not many more here. But they're absolutely delicious. Andre, you can have one. Don't you want one? No, Chandra, this is like gold. Why would you do that? No. This is why I don't give Chandra fruit, because he just threw it on the floor. He was ungrateful. He didn't want it. No, I'm going to find it again. No. Oh, the ants are going to love it. Oh, well. You can't have it. He will stick his fingers in my mouth as well. I'm not joking, so I have to chew it quickly. It's so nice. Look how big the seed is. I'm going to take the seed. You're not. Jean-Jay just took the seed out of my hand that I've just chewed and he's just put it in his mouth. That is the level of comfort of the people in this company. A little bit concerning. No, where is it? Ow. An acacia is prickly. I gave you one and then you threw it on the floor. How did the seed taste? Paula, it's not just this morning. Jean-Andre is always full of beans. That's just how it is. I can't believe he dropped it. We're going to find another one. They're all fruiting at the moment, and they're delicious. I'm sorry, I'm scanning now as we talk because I could spend hours at a graveyard picking off the lovely bits that are fresh. What's the nut? It's a rock. I don't know how to describe the taste to you. It's really sweet. It's like a, what do you think, Jean-Andre? I mean, you just ate this.
Oh, sorry about that, the technical difficulties of the wild. And we were about to relocate and leave the sighting, so we were so lucky to still be around these beautiful dogs. We won't be having these gremlins if we're not doing this live, because we would be like sending the recordings to you to watch. So we're doing this thing live. That's why we have a lot of challenges that goes with being live. Thank you to the tech team and FC for battling these gremlins each and every single day. It smells minty here because I think there's a wild mint that I've... What?
Aniseed.
Aniseed. Uncle Jim said it's aniseed. It smells minty. And these dogs, they smell like they're rotten. What's so interesting is that on there, check that one, James. There's two here, and then there's a third one there.
Mm-hmm.
It has this big fur on its neck, but I don't know whether it's used. Its function is for protecting the neck, like lion's mane. But I will check that out because they have this thick fur on their neck. So for now, the gremlins are gone. Let's go to Steve and see what he has.
Thanks, Chloe. Sorry about the gremlins there, everybody, but you are back with us and things are cooking nicely. And when you boil water, make decoctions, they normally take very, very long. But milk is generally pretty quick. You don't want to burn it. So we are going to do some pouring now. Let me just move this out of the way. I've had to take my pot off before I spilt it everywhere. That would have just been disaster. Are you ready, Sands? Here it comes. Oh, look at that. Oh, look how creamy it is. Gloopy. Now that is from the milk, everybody. Look how it's straining through the bottom there. See how almost yogurt-like it is. And that was purely by just adding leaves to milk and just boiling it until the milk gets nice and sort of warm. You never really want to burn milk. It doesn't work very well. Okay, and so we're going to wait for this to cool down because Senzo wants to try some for sure. He wants to try some. And I'm going to try some as well. And we're going to talk a little bit more about the others that we have. And first of all, we grab this bucket here. And if you take a while to soak this, you'll notice how gloopy it is. Can you see all that goo there? And this is very well used still all over Africa for the lubrication for the female vagina during childbirth. You can also use it for animals if you're able to obviously be prepared for the animal giving birth. You can use this to wipe it inside the vagina to obviously facilitate lubrication when it could be difficult. So it's still used. Look at that. Very nice and gloopy. And that was just simply by using the leaves. It's also been known to use a soap. There's soapinin inside of this plant. And if you add some flavor to it, you'll get some really nice soap out of it. Look how nice and lubricated that is. Very, very interesting. Now, just get a bit of a rinse there because it's very, very sticky. Okay, and then when it comes to the infusion that we've made over here, I'm not necessarily going to drink any, but of course I will because you know me. We've got to taste these things. Just add a little bit of cold water just to cool it down. And this has been known as a, I'm trying to remember the word, parturition, which is to aid in childbirth as well. After an animal or a human is given birth, there's always that placenta that sometimes might not always come out. And especially with animals, you can actually give them an infusion of this leaf decoction, not decoction, infusion. I'm going to taste it. It's actually quite pleasant. It's actually very, very pleasant. Now, you'll notice I always like to take these syringes. This is not for any application purpose. This is purely... Oh, it's very sticky. This is purely just to get a color for you. The leaves keep trying to get inside there. There we go. There's a nice sort of coloration that you can see there. It's got a bit of a greenish color to it, but it's very, very viscous. So obviously this is the infusion. So it was with warm water and drinking. It's a nice little taste. It's nothing too much. It's a little bit florally, but for patronish, get that word right. Parturition, so to help with the rest of the placenta coming out of the body. Sometimes that can lead to some complications in animals, and you want to get that out. And so Senzo is now going to come and join me because it is time to taste the milk, is it not? And while Senzo locks off the camera there to come and join me, I'm just going to keep trying to wipe my hands, which are extremely sticky. And now you might want to know, what is the purpose of doing it with milk? Why do we want to drink this? And what function are we going to get out of drinking this milk? And I hope it's not too hot for you, Senzo. But Senzo's going to have a little sip of his amazi. There we go.
Thank you.
Okay, so now as he's drinking some, I'm going to tell him now to his face, he hasn't been told yet, that it actually works as a very nice aphrodisiac. So ladies around Juma today, be very careful. Senzo Mkhize is having an aphrodisiac. Is it nice?
It's good.
Very good. And so am I. Watch out. It's very creamy. It's very creamy. What would you decide? What would you describe it as?
It's like a plain yogurt.
A plain yogurt, but it's warm at the moment. So I think this would be very nice to drink before going to bed. It's very thick. It's very creamy. You obviously saw it with the leaves earlier, but this is it here. It's almost like not sweet like condensed milk, but it's that same sort of consistency. It's got a very nice flavor to it, though. Senzo's going to have some more. Absolutely delicious. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this little bit of insight into some medicinal plants that grow quite prolifically around the quarantine area. And while we pack this up and enjoy the rest of our lovely warm milk, let's go back over to Taylor, who's looking at something small and creepy, I think.
What is aphrodisiac? What is it?
Aphrodisiac is to make you want to faga straight.
Serious?
Yeah.
Can you hear us? No. Has that delay gone from like 5 seconds to like 25 seconds? That's really awkward. Okay. I don't know what that other little thing is. We have a cool little moth over here though. Sorry everyone. Tricosta's having a fun time. You don't want to show them the moth? There, this one. It's a little diurnal moth. It's very pretty. And beautiful yellow and sort of some reds on it. I don't think I've seen one like this before. I mean, normally we see the speckled footman. They're typically out and about. I haven't seen one since I've been back. But that's a lovely one nonetheless. I'm going to have to take a picture for ID purposes. You can watch me take a picture so that I can try and figure out what it is a little bit later. No, come back! Okay, can you all just send me your screenshots that you got of that? That might be a little bit easier because I've now scared the moth away. It's flown. Disappointing. Okay, mobile device back. Oh, back in the pocket. What else we got? Also, there was something I was going to tell you. Now I've completely forgotten what it was. Oh, I found another square raisin, or a sandpaper raisin, but sadly that one didn't even have any flowers on it or any fruit. And the other thing we're looking for, we've been checking every wealth area, is a flower manted. But we've not been lucky. Oh, look at this. This is a caterpillar. Oh, look at this one. It's orange with spikes on it. Chandra, can you see it? Do you have it? Can I come and look what it looks like on your side? That's another really weird one. We've seen lots of caterpillars. So remember, unfortunately, oh, that is epic. It's so small. Chandra's just going to go in for a different angle. So they are currently trying to hand rear caterpillars from moths and butterflies, so that they can obviously get a complete ID kit of what the egg looks like, what their host plants are, what the larvae looks like, and then of course if it's a chrysalis, where do they hang their chrysalis on a tree? Do they bury it under soil? Is it more of a cocoon? What the story is, and then of course until it emerges into either a moth or a butterfly. But that's going to take years and years to do something like that. So I'm not sure when they'll have that book, but hopefully I can be one of the first people. Please, can I be one of the first people to have that book with like the complete Southern Africa caterpillars and moths from A to Z, egg to end product, please? Because like I really, really like that. I'd like to get involved in something like that. I could be a caterpillar hand rearer. Can you imagine? Some people like cats. I could just one day be in my 80s with all my caterpillars. Yeah, oh well, you know, wouldn't surprise me if it went like that. Anyways, sadly we don't have much of drive/walk left. Let's see what else we can get in the last little bit. Only 40 seconds to go. The pressure is on to find one more thing. I really hope I can find you a jumping spider. Maybe I can, because I've just seen something that a jumping spider would like to live in. Nope, that's not it. That's just an old curled up leaf. That's all. Anyways, there's lots of little diurnal moths flying around at the moment. That's very cool. Be nice to come through here and actually photograph some of them and try and identify them, because there are a lot that I haven't seen before. There are a lot of insects that I've never seen before out here. Right. It's been a fantastic morning. Hopefully the wild dogs will be around for later. But from all of us at Wild Earth, thank you for your questions, and we'll see you this afternoon.